Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hello, this is Zack Sabre Jr., New Japan Cup winner 2018. And you're listening to Keepin It Strong Style with my mates. Enjoy.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith and Chris Samsa. On today's show, we'll review Fantastica Mania, preview the 53rd anniversary show, and the New Japan Cup, and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network and Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice, and leave a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Chop Tea store, chop-tees.com/KI Strong Style. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style merchandise. There's free shipping on every order and 10% off your first order. That's chopped-tees.com/KI Strong Style. And if you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Josh, Chris, how you guys doing?
Tournament season, baby. Let's go.
I'm glad to be here once again on the show with my good friends. 2 of us will be in Chicago for Windy City Riot. Not so sure about Jeremy.
It's maybe right now. I'm trying to finalize some details.
Bro, you make big bucks. You don't need to finalize anything. You just lay the money down, buy your ticket.
Get some Southwest Airlines or some Spirit.
Yeah,
I already booked the room.
I'm a big Southwest guy.
Yeah, Southwest, way to go. Domestic travel. They haven't flipped a plane over yet, as far as I know. So we got that going for us. Well, you know.
Well, the good thing is Starlink's coming, so we're going to be safe.
No, that is not the time or the place.
All right, so let's get some plugs in real quick. So
I love doing this every week to just make everyone a little tense and uncomfortable, just to start the show off right.
My shoulders already live like at my ears. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it now.
Well, Chris, why don't you tell everybody? We've talked about it before, but tell everybody about your New Japan Cup contest you're running.
Sure, yeah. Sportofprowrestling.com is your hub for the New Japan Cup bracket challenge. It is right now we have 268 entries. I have collected some prizes from some of my friends. So the winner of this year's New Japan Cup bracket challenge will get 3 months of the Voices of Wrestling Patreon $10 tier, 3 months of the Super J Cast $10 tier, and 3 months of the Keeping It Strong Style highest tier.
$10.
Yeah, $10 tier. So, I mean, ultimately, you're looking at a $90 value and some of the best, coolest paywalled New Japan centric coverage in the business. So, a cool little bundle for whoever wins the tournament. And if you don't want any of that, I don't think anyone would mind, but I know that the Keepin It Strong Style boys here. You've got some cool stuff coming up, and the Voices of Wrestling Patreon has always got more stuff going on, and the JCast Patreon gets you all sorts of debaucherous side shoulder content, as we like to call it. So it's a cool, it's a cool little bundle. It gets some value for 90 days. It gets you almost to the G1, and maybe we'll do something similar for G1. So, but yeah, basically you fill out your bracket. Whoever gets the most correct picks throughout the tournament, the points go up as the tournament goes on. Whoever has the highest score at the end will win and win the chance to consume even more New Japan focused content. So, thank you to my friends here for offering that up.
Well, we didn't offer it. You asked for it, and we're gracious to give it to you.
I mean, you did. You offered when I asked. So yeah,
but we're happy to do it. No big deal. And it's a $90 value. It's going to save you guys $90, but if you extrapolate the actual value, what you're getting, you should be paying a lot more than that. So I mean, for anyone that gets it and doesn't want it, you're going to get this 3 months. You're going to like it, and that's it. That's what you're getting. You're going to like it. You're going to accept it, and it's going to be good.
Yeah, and like I said, 268 entries. We will break our entries record this year, which is awesome. We're always growing the community, but the New Japan community is coming out strong this year. So, and this year's tournament wide open. I don't see, and we'll talk plenty more about it as the show goes on, I'm sure, but there's a lot of options, and you can take it a lot of different ways. If you have multiple email addresses, all I'm saying is you could use them. And you could hedge your bets a little bit and maybe get yourself to the top. I promise I won't win this year. I won my own contest in 2021, and it was very awkward. I will enter a bracket, but remove it from the scoreboard. So yeah, that was a fun one. That was Ospreay one, and everyone knew. Well, if you had been paying attention, you knew where it was headed.
I feel like everyone didn't know, but I feel like on this show we nailed that down.
I clearly knew.
But yeah, I saw that some of the other New Japan centric podcasts out there were like, yeah, we're going to do it on the show. So I was like, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'll be doing my bracket on this episode as we
there you go. My bracket on the JCast was the final was unhinged. It cannot be my official bracket, but it fit well for the vibes over there.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm going to pull up a bracket. I already submitted one, but I'll pull another one up just to play along for everybody else as well.
And speaking of Patreon, so, since Chris is on the show here, I've been talking for a few weeks now about the Tanahashi project. It is about to come out in full force. And Rich Latta, shout out to Rich. He mixed a couple samples that I wanted him to put together and create an incredible beat. And I had shared a sneak peek with a few different folks, and Chris was gracious enough to lay down a little sample of the Tanahashi Love and Energy theme, kind of sprinkled in there, sent me a revised version, and super crunchy, sounds really great. So I guess I got to do the show now that people have invested musical talent to the project.
I mean, it's kind of a banger theme if we're really being honest. Like,
yeah, it's great.
It's pretty. I listened to it again on my way to work. I was like, this is sick. It's 45 seconds. It's just right. It's good.
It doesn't need to be longer for a show, but if sometimes I do regret that Rich didn't make it longer because it is so catchy. I'm like, fuck, this would be a really good tune at
it's a hit. Yeah, it's a hit. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Then,
also, if anyone has any 2000s Tanahashi footage, just saying that maybe you could send that over to me.
Nothing to plug. Once again, we are running our Social Suplex March Madness Pick'em tournament. So the best way to find out how to join is join our Discord server. We got a special NCAA channel in there. Discord Daddy has the bracket league all set up. So come and join our March Madness Pick'ems. There will be some Social Suplex merch given away as prizes. So whether you like basketball or not, I think it's always a fun kind of community thing to do. So check out the Discord and check out the March Madness Pick'em there.
And Chris, if you're in the Discord, you should go to the boxing/MMA page because I shared some gifs of me hitting the reflex stick, so you can see how these hands like they fucking fly.
There you go. I could post some videos of me hitting the bag.
Yeah, I know you were. Are you still doing? You were doing fight camp, right?
I'm back on the fight camp. Yeah.
Are you back on it?
I'm trying to lose the father 15. So, and I'm 7 pounds down in a month. So it's good. But I feel energetic. So a lot of that's just drinking a shitload of water. But instead of eating and snacking all night. But dad life. That's how it goes. You eat when you can. But yeah, I'm back hitting the bag. So it feels good. Feels good to beat some inanimate objects up.
All right. Before we get to Fantastica Mania, we have to do the March match of the month and wrestler of the month. Josh, I did not talk to you about the picks here.
We haven't talked about it, but I honestly don't think that there's much deliberation that's really needed here. I haven't looked at the rundown. I don't know what Jeremy's pick was, but I can almost guarantee you with 100% certainty the wrestler of the month for the month of February is Hiroki Goto.
Yep.
Just not only based on his historic win, but the work that he did in all the matches leading up all throughout the tour. It was almost undeniable that he was going to be the guy. So I know Jeremy's going to pick that one, and I'm fairly certain I know what you're going to pick for match of the month. So yeah, hats off to Hiroki Goto, making us all believers in ourselves.
Yeah, and for match of the month, I went with Hiroki Goto versus Zack Sabre Jr. You could obviously argue Gabe Kidd versus Yota Tsuji. And I will say, if you're just looking at bell to bell in ring, like the moves, I would probably go Gabe Kidd versus Tsuji, but Zack and Goto, there's just such a great story there. The way the crowd was amped the minute Goto's music hit, him winning the title, stories, moments. So that just kind of took the Zack Goto match over the top. So yeah, going with Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hiroki Goto for the February match of the month.
Yeah, I concur. I figured, and what's funny, the rundown you gave, I knew that from a stylistic standpoint that the semifinal match or the semi-main event was exactly up your alley. But I think at the end of the day, there's no denying what that emotional response, what the crowd reaction was to that match and just how meaningful it was. So yeah, match of the month, Zack Sabre Jr. and Hiroki Goto. I think Zack's won match of the month for 5 months in a row now.
Yeah, putting the work in. All right, let's jump to Fantastica Mania. And in the sake of time, we're not going to go through and give you a big, full review to these shows. I'll go over
That's not what Chris said before the show started.
I have reviewed 3 matches of Fantastica Mania with one Joe Lanza already behind that $10 tier. See, pitching the bracket challenge here.
Yo, let me just say right now, fuck Joe right now. Okay. I depend on Fridays for my Voices of Wrestling flagship, and they did a switcheroo false advertisement. They did. Put that shit behind a paywall. I'm like,
no, it wasn't any of that. They didn't do it. They didn't do a full show. Someone had a birthday on Thursday.
Oh, so. It was Rich's, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
And he didn't want to spend his birthday with Joe, which I get. That makes sense to me.
Do you guys ever hang out in Chicago? You're both from there, right?
Rich, we run into each other at various things. We've run into each other at White Sox games, and we've gone to shows together when the Vow crew goes to shows, and we'll meet up before shows, like wrestling shows, if we're not sitting together. So yeah, here and there. We're not like besties by any means, but Rich went to the rival high school in Downers Grove, and
also there's heat.
There's heat, man. He's a Trojan and I'm a Mustang. So we can't really be, it's like heels and faces. We can't be seen together too often,
Yeah.
Even 20 plus years after the fact. So yeah, we can't be hanging out in public too terribly much, but no, yeah.
Old country beef.
We do coordinate some stuff. The Voices of Wrestling crew there's a lot of Midwesterners. So there's a lot of little hangs that end up happening. Yeah.
Nice. So we'll do some quick thoughts here on Fantastica Mania. So we had the first televised night, February 27th in Corcoran Hall. with a packed house of 1,457. Opened up, we had Kamatachi and Teton defeating Max Star and Zulia. Hechicero, Ninja Mac defeating Barbaro Cavernario and Desperado by DQ. We had the MLW World Tag Team titles on the line. Cozy Max defeated Los Depredadores, Magnus, and Rojido. And we had a question here from Paul Popper. Who's looking worse in ring, Okamura or Hanma?
Hanma still got the body at least.
People were really down on Okamura during this tour, and I just felt, I felt like he was fine.
Yeah, I feel like it's been the same Okamura we've been seeing since 2017.
I feel like, honestly, if you put Okamura in a singles match role, right, and you called upon him to put over some young talent and make them look great, he's going to deliver. But he's not really relied on to do that in the slanderous in a tag team environment with Kojima. They're just kind of out there having fun, and he's not really. I mean, he's a dad. He's working dad style. It's kind of lazy. It's not really the most high energy shit that's out there. But I don't know. I feel like if you put him in there with Mascara Dorada and asked him to deliver a 3.5-star match on night 2 in Cork and Hall, could he do it?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure he could.
Probably.
And you know what? Same thing with Hanma. If you ask Hanma to go out there and work a hard hitting, now, can he work the athletic style that everybody else can? No. But if you asked him to just go out there and do chops and lariats, have a never style match and get the emotional response from people, he'd probably have people talking about I don't know, he might still have another little run in him, So
let's give him the belt.
Hanma Mania. Give him a crack at Goto.
Yeah.
I think Hanma 4 years ago, when he first came back, looked so much worse than he does right now. Right now, he's fine.
Wasn't that was
that was so bad
7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah.
No. Are we that far back?
Oh
now?
yeah.
I remember we were legit concerned when he.
Well, bro, he looked like he had no. He looked like he had no strength in his arms. He couldn't do a body slam or a hip toss. It was fucking scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's had his moments. He's had his moments since then.
Yeah. So following that, we had a lightning match with Neon defeating Xander Khan Jr. Then we had the Black Cat Memorial match, Tanahashi, Mascara Dorada, Mystico, and Stigma defeating Averno, Bone Soldier Jr., Ryder, and Soberano Jr. And then the semi-main event, we had Atlantis Jr. defeating Ultimo Guerrero, and the main event, Volador Jr. defeating Templario. Any thoughts about this night of Fantastica Mania? Anything stand out to you guys?
No, not really. We're talking the first night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first Corkin. Yeah, it was fine. The second night we'll talk about was much more. I can heap more praise on that. I didn't think the first night really it was good. It was fun. I mean, the crowd was hot enough, but it didn't really get to that next level at all.
I agree to a certain extent, but I thought that this was the more consistent night, if I'm being honest. I thought that the undercard was much better. It might not have peaked at the same high level that the second night did, but all in all, I thought it was a highly enjoyable show. The crowd was hot. I really enjoyed that opener tag for a 5-minute sprint. Those guys went super hard. I thought that Zandakon and Neon went balls to the wall. That was really, really fun. The Black Cat Memorial match was so much better than it had any right to be. I just thought the overall show was really fantastic. And then the top 2 matches were really good. The only 2 bad things you could really point out is Okamura is not a spring chicken. And I've heard nobody else talk about this, but those opening moments, which it's so weird because this ended up being the best match of the entire tour the next night. But the opening moments of interactions between Hechicero and Barbaro Cavernario.
Oh yeah,
really
that was good.
Fucking rough.
That was good.
Yeah.
The next night it was good, but the first night,
opening, I'm agreeing with you. Yes.
It was so rough. I don't know what the fuck was going on there. They were having serious trouble working some Yave style, and I don't know where the miscommunication was. And it's so weird because the next night it was the best night of the entire tour for that match, but the post match for that match with him getting the mask ripped off and everything like that, that was probably the most consistent through line story, I guess. That and Volador and Templario. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Volador. I guess he's a heel now and he's got minions.
He's been a heel. Los Depredadores, him, Magnus, and Rujito, they've been heels for a couple years now.
Bro, I don't know that. When he shows up in
watch the product, Josh.
I gotta watch the product. I don't know. I didn't know he had a. The one thing I will say is a lot of really young, up and coming, like fresh talent. At the same time, a lot of guys that kind of like blend in because you got so many young masked talents that are high flying and very similar style. There's not a lot that breaks all of them out to me. I guess the new guys like Max Star. Is it Max Star?
Yeah, Max Star.
I want to call him Max Star Jr. because of Star Jr., but he's not Max Star Jr. He's like he's senior. His son will be Max Star Jr. maybe. But him and then what's the other guy's name? Zulia?
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Him and Raider. Those seem to be like, and Neon. Those guys all pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a fun night. I do agree. I feel like the undercard was a little bit stronger. This night, I loved Neon and Xanacon Jr. That quick 9-minute lightning style, big spots. That was a lot of fun. Neon getting the win there. And yeah, we've kind of seen the rivalry of Atlantis Jr. and Ultimo Guerrero play out from this whole Fantastica Mania tour several years ago. And so that was another kind of good, solid matchup there. Always fun, Ultimo Guerrero out there, raising the roof's always fun. And then, Volador and Templario was good. You had some House of Torture-ism there with Volador's crew coming in and helping him get the win. And poor Templario, man, this guy is supposed to be a member of United Empire. There was nobody in sight to help him. He got beat down, got his mask ripped off. Nobody was out there to help poor Templario here.
He got a little protection, though. He didn't get beat clean.
True, but I mean, where were his boys at? He's a part of this faction, and no Cobb, TJP, Akira, Okan, nobody.
They're on break, bro.
That video didn't have him in that faction.
That's right. Yeah, there was a faction video that dropped on the Japanese New Japan Twitter that went through every faction, listed all the members of each faction, and yeah, Templario was not listed under United Empire.
Nowhere to be found.
So he's juicy Gino Gambino right now.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like TJP's like, yeah, he's in the United Empire, and everybody else is like, no.
So basically TJP's Fale right now.
Yes. the Oswong army.
There's a lot of parallels there.
All he needs to do is start his own wrestling school and just start like grifting the fuck out of like people, telling them they're gonna get to Japan and shit.
I've heard they've cleaned up.
Yeah, I've heard they've.
No, I know they have, but it's time for TJP to do that for a few years before he cleans it up.
Yeah, get shady, TJP.
So moving on to the next day, February 28th, also in Corkin, we had 1,462 this night. Show opened up, we had Raider defeating Max Star, and we had a question from Discord Daddy. Rate these currencies: Okada Bucks, Young Bucks, Raider, the Ring Robbers Bucks.
Well, I mean, we can't certainly put Raiders money in the same stratosphere as the Young Bucks and Okada. It's just not the same kind of exchange rate,
I think you got to go with the Bucks because the dollar's strong.
The other thing too is like with them, they've so rarely actually come out with the gun. So the Young Bucks money there's a lot less currency out there. With the Okada Bucks, the proliferation of those, I mean, they were handing those out, left and right last time I was at a New Japan show. So, I mean, it's easy to get a hold of those. Like they've flooded the market with Okada Bucks.
Yeah, and I'm sure I've heard Okada has many bucks these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rainbow saying the Raider Bucks is down. Yeah, he was just throwing them out there. So I'm feeling his currency might be a little bit down too, because he was just throwing that money out all to the crowd and to who he faced here, Max Star. Like he's just throwing that money out.
He threw it in Max Star's face and then beat him.
Yeah,
and we all know lucha currency is coins,
right?
So I mean, we can't be dealing with bucks here.
Yeah, we need somebody to make crypto part of their entrance.
Gross.
Well, we know a lot about crypto right now. Let's talk about Donald Trump and let's teach everybody about what a pump and dump is. All right. So the way it works. No, I'm just playing.
All right, moving on.
Google it for real.
You can start your own financial podcast. That's actually where the real money is.
I'm not allowed to do that sort of thing.
I'm sure you're not. For good reason. But
sponsored by your job.
Nobody's paying attention to what they're allowed to or not allowed to do. So, dive in, Josh.
I'm being the next Roaring Kitty.
The next Haktua.
That's a first on this podcast. We've gone many, many months without mentioning that name on here.
Yeah.
Sorry. I feel dirty.
So following that, we had Kamatachi, Mascara, Kantatsu, Tomato, Teton, and Xanacon Jr. defeating Tanahashi, Ninja Mac, Taguchi, and Zulia. Then we had Cozy Max teaming up with Ultimo Guerrero to defeat Elias Jr., Bone Soldier Jr., and Stigma. Then we had Los Depredadores defeating Desperado, Neon, and Templario. And then we got into the 3 singles matches. We had Hechicero defeating Barbaro Cavernario. Hawaiian Punch BB says, after Barbaro Cavernaro's performance against Hechicero, do you think he'll be getting more singles opportunities against New Japan talent? How about a match between him and Master Wato, since they teased it right before Wato's excursion?
I really doubt that we're going to see Cavernario in any sort of like meaningful position moving forward. Like, a decade ago, he was involved in, I think, a Super Juniors tournament or something like that. But I mean, at this point, he's kind of like CMLL's Ishii, like a guy that is like deeply beloved and called upon, can put people over and have great matches and travel abroad. But he's never going to be like the top guy or pushed in like a meaningful way. And I don't think he's going to be used that way in New Japan, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fun if he came over more, maybe bring him into Super Juniors or Super Junior Tag League. But yeah, I doubt that they're going to be, if they have priorities, I don't think he's at top of their list to be bringing over all the time.
No, and we're sort of in a young wrestler's phase too, right? So I think I'm looking at guys like Neon and Dorada, and even, continuing the relationship with Ninja Mac, who looked pretty good on this tour, right? So like those are the guys that I think you bring in for like proper New Japan stuff. And then you keep bringing, the stars. You keep bringing the stars over for Fantastica Mania and maybe the occasional little special dip your toe in thing.
Yeah. Then following that, we had Mascot Dorada defeating Soberano Jr., and then the main event was for the MLW World Middleweight title, Mystico defeating Averno. Any thoughts here on this night in these 3 singles matches?
I liked the top 3 a lot. They were all very different. Crowd was hot. And the world of MLW never stops. I mean, this tour had an incredible amount of MLW representation, and you gotta tip your hat to Court Bauer, because the man just gets involved in stuff that you'd never imagine him to be involved in. But it does all end up making sense. But yeah, those top 3 are totally worth going out of your way. Plus, it's so neat to see Korakuen show up with Mexican flags and making the sounds and
air horns.
Air horns, vuvuzelas, and the like, right? Like, it's so fun that they become a part of the bit, right? And it's a neat thing to see. So always a fun time. I'm no CMLL expert, but those top 3 matches are without a doubt worth going out of your way for.
I cannot wait for the day where the Cork and Hall crowd finds out about the tradition of throwing money in the ring.
Hey, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Because they don't know about it yet, because it's not really a thing that happens in CMLL. But if there's some sort of way to educate them and they find out, and they start throwing fucking yen in the ring.
But it already takes Mystico an hour to get off to get out of the building.
Yeah.
So and then he's gonna be picking up coins.
The file on that last match was like 50 minutes, and I'm like, there's no way the match is that long. I bet you it's just Mystico like clapping everybody's hands. Yeah.
Yep.
I kept just fast forwarding towards the end after like the bigger picture, and he's just there clapping hands, walking around. I'm like, oh my gosh.
He's in his element. He's doing the thing. It's great.
Night 2 is really good. I mean, I don't have much more to add, but I agree with Chris. I thought the top 3 were fantastic. If you try to argue any one of those 3 as being your favorite of the night, I probably wouldn't, argue against it too much. But I did think that ultimately the match I was most looking forward to between Hechicero and Cavernario was the best match at the tour, which again was so surprising because they seemed to really struggle stylistically the night before, but they figured out how to put it together, and they did a lot of really crazy shit. And Cavernario, his knees, I don't know how he's still doing the outside dives to the cement that he does, but he's doing it multiple times per year. We complain about Tanahashi doing high fly flows. This man is this is a different level. This is like Dynamite Kid sort of shit where it's like, I don't know if he's going to be able to walk later, Yeah. But regardless, very, very, both shows I thought were the only real complaint I have is sort of what we touched upon last week is like only having the 2 shows does take away a little bit from the fun and excitement of a tour long storyline. There, because it was just the 2 nights and everything happened in a vacuum. Very, exciting. It's sort of like tuning into like a Friday night Arena Mexico show. I mean, you don't really need a story. Every match is very self-explanatory and contained, and it's fun. But on the, tours in the past, like we'd have through lines and storylines that were kind of, continuing throughout the tour. We didn't get so much of that. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's nice we only to watch the 2 shows, but at the end of the day, it's fun to kind of track those things, at least if you're someone that tunes in. But
they've done little tournaments. They've done all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Bushi and Teton won the faction tournament this year on the tour. And so, it was kind of weird not seeing the faction tournament this year and being a little bit disconnected. It was kind of being thrown in to the tour when normally we get a few nights and we see the whole faction tournament play out. We see these storylines kind of build up. So on the one hand, as a reviewer, it was good to just have 2 shows to review, but I did feel a little disconnected from the tour. We've been doing this now for so long that every year we would get these multiple nights and kind of be locked in to what's happening, and it was just kind of like bam, here it is, and then it's gone.
Yeah, and for the Fantastica Mania opening intro, sure, they still have the song, but they didn't have the screaming woman screaming everybody's names.
Only at the end, the Fantastica Mania.
Only at the end. But that means that they basically cut out her voice for the new ones, and they just kept the original. That's how good they know she is. She's so good that they didn't redo it. They still kept all of her original audio and only had to redo the new ones when it was especially required because they don't have her there to yell out neon or whatever.
Yeah. But really fun night. For me, Mascara and Soberano Jr. was my favorite this night. They just went out there, did a lot of really incredible high flying moves. Mascara is he's insane. Some of the stuff that he can do.
I don't know, bro. He desecrated the Mexican flag. I didn't appreciate that 450 with the with the flag on him. That was disrespectful.
Flag code, man. You got to get into it.
Don't tell Pat McAfee.
Oh, bro. Bootlicker.
But so these matches were super fun. I definitely recommend watching those 3. Discord Daddy says, as we've seen throughout Fantastica Mania, CMLL is so stacked with young, exciting talent. With the way development seems to be happening over there, if you're Tanahashi, do you make CMLL a focus for young lion excursions?
I think they got to be more open to it now. I mean, it's been a minute since anyone officially went to CMLL for an excursion. So yes, I mean, it's also just the product is active, it's hot, people are watching it. So yeah, I mean, I would say for the right person, right? For the right wrestler, yeah, they should go to CMLL. We know that they do a good job with you know, we'll talk. I'm sure we'll talk about him.
Yeah, Rambo saying send Shota over there.
Yeah, I mean, but a good proper excursion for one of these guys over there. Yeah, I think that'd be tremendous. They're kind of running out of really viable excursion partners. Everyone's running smaller schedules and all that. I mean, New Japan is the most active, promotion in the world. So it's hard to, build up your muscle that way. But, in Mexico, you can get a lot of work. So I'm very pro that happening.
Yeah. Plus, like almost every single great returning from excursion over the last 15 years has come from Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's it's the old faithful. It doesn't even matter how hot they are right now or how good things are going. I think there's something special about that system in general that complements itself so well to what they do in the Noge Dojo. So, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about Gran Hamada last week and that Lucha Rezu, and I think those styles just blend so perfectly together, and I think it just ends up being a great base for people. Like you mentioned, we've seen so many guys come back, and it's been really great. And so, yeah, I mean, that's probably the best place to send people. Like you mentioned, Chris, AEW, you're not going to get a ton of dates there. You might be looking to get, a dark match, a Ring of Honor match. Rev Pro, they don't run super often, and yeah, there's not a lot of other places really to go. So I think, yeah, CMLL.
NXT. They got TNA. They got the Largo Loop. There's a lot to do there.
On Spike TV. Oh, man. Barry asks, does the Fantastica Mania Tour happen to fall at a bad time each year?
I mean, it happens pretty much. At least this year we did New Beginning before Fantastica Mania. There's been a handful of years where Fantastica Mania is the first thing that happens after Wrestle Kingdom, and people who have just gotten into the product are like, wait, what? And it's a little alarming.
It's jarring.
Yeah. So I like throwing New Beginning, right behind Wrestle Kingdom, and then just, then everyone gets their little break, right? Or whoever's taking the tour off. Both on, my end, our end, who's watching the tour, as well as, the wrestlers. So I think it's the right order. And then you ramp things back up with New Japan Cup. So, I'm a proponent. I'm a fan of the classic New Japan calendar with New Beginning right behind Wrestle Kingdom and then Fantastica Mania. If you're going to do it, you got to do it sometime. I mean, I'm not sure when else would be a good time. I think it works.
I think it's racially motivated that they hid so many of the shows this year. It's like, we want to make the money off the tour, but we don't want to promote it by putting, making it accessible.
Well, they're just trying to keep the Bone Soldier off TV right now.
Yeah.
At least with Bone Soldier, we didn't have to deal with the Nazism this year. So that's
not this year.
Yeah, I don't really know if there is a better time. Like, it's always going to come after something big. I mean, I kind of get where he's saying, we just had that big New Beginning in Osaka. You had the great, Goto winning the title, Gabe Kidd and Tsuji having a great match. And what do you follow up with Fantastica Mania? Again, kind of jarring, but again, no matter where you put it in the year, it's going to come after some kind of big show, and you're always going to kind of have that little gap there between tours. So I think this is fine. I think it's a fine placement for it. I think, having the big New Beginning after Wrestle Kingdom, I thought was a good transition to kind of people who were hyped about, Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty. That was a good follow-up for them. And then it's only 2 nights of Fantastica Mania that they had to watch before we get to the next thing.
I think we need to cut out Fantastica Mania, World Tag League, just do more singles tournaments all year long. Just keep the people engaged. They can never, tune out of the content.
Have we considered 2 hours each week of television produced content?
Weekly episodic?
Yeah.
Weekly episodic content. Have we considered that for New Japan? I mean, can we get with the times over here?
Every Monday on Billy.
Let's call up Access TV.
Well, every other network is covered, so there's not much left.
That's not true. Who was doing women of wrestling. Let's figure that shit out. We can get New Japan on that shit.
It's syndicated. They syndicated that.
Dude, forget all that. We need to get on streaming. Raw's on Netflix, Dynamite's on Max, Amazon Prime, baby. Let's go. Bring Shinny Han to Prime.
Honestly, that's probably where it would land if it was going to land on any of them. That's the best one. They're the one people actually go to watch live stuff.
Yeah, Rainbow's like, I need more stories in cinema.
I would put them on Mubi. Or Tubi.
Tubi's got Evolve now.
Yeah.
I know they do, but still.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to have to get rid of
maybe Mubu?
Mubu.
Maybe Sumba.
Tubi does have Tiger Mask W. Do you think they're going to have to get rid of Tiger Mask W to accommodate for not only that, they have a lot of other wrestling content, CZW tapes. Are they going to have to get rid of that shit to accommodate for Evolve?
Maybe.
Was Gabe Sapolsky involved in any of them?
I don't think so.
Well, Gabe shows up everywhere. There he is on Tubi.
I'll never forget the time that Josh and Gabe got into a little argument thing at an Evolve show here in Ybor.
What did I say to him?
So it was like one of the first like NXT Evolve things.
It was so bad.
And all the NXT dudes were just sort of beating the Evolve people. Like Street Profits won the Evolve title.
I talked shit to Gabe. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so we're chilling, and then Gabe walks by Josh, and he's like, "This is bullcrap, man. All the NXT guys beating your homegrown Evolve guys. What are you doing?" And Gabe was just pissed. And it was
Gabe got pissed and he talked shit, but dude, I was really yeah. We're at
Orpheum.
Where do they used to have those shows? We're at the Orpheum. Yeah. I was drinking Pabst. That was my 6 Pabst that night. I don't even fucking remember talking to Gabe.
Then he came back and you're like, I was just joking, Gabe. I'm sorry. It's okay. This was a great show, Gabe.
Oh yeah, he got pissed. But you know what's the funny thing was? I was being sarcastic. I was like, oh, the way I said it was you're just gonna job out all your homegrown guys, Gabe. Something like that. And he got fucking pissed. And I was like, all right, man, I was literally just joking.
I've heard some incredible stories about Gabe at WrestleMania weekends and stuff, just losing it on people.
He took it so seriously.
Yeah, he's a serious dude.
Then when I pointed out, I was like, I'm being sarcastic with you. He was like, oh, okay. And he went back into Gorilla because we were pretty close to Gorilla, if I recall.
Yeah.
I went to an Evolve show once. It was the same. I mean, it was just I went to see Kushida. It was when Kushida was in NXT, right? And he popped up at the Evolve show that they did in Chicago, and it was fun enough, but it was same deal. Any of the NXT dudes just buried the Evolve guys.
Well, because me and Jeremy were going to a lot of WWN and Evolve shows over the years at the Orpheum and a few other venues. So it's not that was the first one they ever did with the NXT guys, and Swerve was the champion. He jobbed to Fabian Eichner that night. Oh, I was so fucking pissed.
So you weren't kidding.
No. I made that comment before that happened because I did.
Gabe was probably oh, you're going to love what's happening next.
They had the Street Profits win the world titles. They had Fabian Eichner. What was his name at the time?
I forget now.
Whatever it was in NXT, but it wasn't Fabian Eichner. It was something else. And who was the big bald dude who talked about Soy Boys? He was almost sort of like a Andrew Tate.
Oh, Dan Matha.
They had Dan Matha come out and call everybody in the crowd soy boys and little snowflakes, and he beat the shit out of Colby Corino. And Baba Tunde show up and beat up whoever their big giant was. Baba Tunde showed up and fucked them up. It was a crazy show.
Yeah, it was wild.
But we had seen a lot of Evolve shows that were the real Evolve prior to that. So it was very jarring to show up and be like, oh, okay, so this is it.
This is what we're doing now, huh? Yeah, same. Yeah, same thing happened in Chicago. I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. I'm going to go.
Also, funny shit was Eddie Kingston had been on this network like a month or two prior to that. And was like, yeah, I think I'm going to retire. And then I went to WrestleMania and he did retire. I watched his retirement match with Masato Tanaka. He cried in the ring. They gave him flowers, all that shit. And then he showed up on the Evolve show that we went to like a month later.
Well, work is work.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into the 53rd anniversary show preview. So it's going to be coming this Thursday, March 6th from Ota City Gymnasium. Show's going to open up. We have the NJPW World Television title Open Challenge. El Phantasmo defends against X. Guys, who do you think is going to be Phantasmo's mystery opponent?
I mean, I heard from JCast it's going to be Baron Corbin, so I believe it's going to be Baron Corbin now, and I'm not happy.
Sir, that's the Nomad to you.
The Nomad Bishop
Dyer.
Is that new? Is that a new drop from the JCast, or is that old news?
No, they like said it without saying it last week, so I'm just going to say it with my chest because that's what they didn't do. But yeah, last week they were like skirting around the fact that it's going to be Baron Corbin. So I assume they're correct. And it makes sense considering the fact that, there was a lot of people that thought that Baron Corbin was going to be a surprise entrant, I guess, in the cup, and it didn't happen. And then now there's a surprise, challenger for the TV title. I'm just nervous that if it is him, he ends up winning and we pull a reboot of what we did last year with the white guys from WWE cast-offs.
I've heard that things with Bishop Dyer fell through, but I don't know anything. I don't know anything firm. I don't know who ELP's opponent is, but I know that there's some sensitivity towards what you just said, which is not repeating what they did last year, not bringing in dudes just for their little rehab tours. They right now, I mean, we've seen two straight, big world title wins that felt good for the locker room, right? I mean, Zack Sabre Jr. and then Hiroki Goto. So that to me says that they want to honor the guys that are living in that locker room. And that doesn't mean that they can't bring a guy like Baron Corbin, Bishop Dyer, whatever his real name is, in. But this would be a weird spot for that, sort of.
Yeah, and kind of based on what's lined up in New Japan Cup, I feel like Phantasmo is going to retain here, or it'll be a title and a draw. I think he's leaving this night with the title. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be somebody that's going to get an immediate push right out the gate.
Are we going to see El Phantasmo versus one Rey Fenix? Freelancer.
Heard he's a free agent right now.
I would be very surprised to see Mr. Phoenix show up here on the anniversary show against ELP, but it'd be a great match, though.
That would be fun.
Maybe it's going to be Liger. He just came out of retirement.
That was not a match.
It was a match.
It was not a match. It was a spot he did. I think we're hyping ourselves, or we're building something up that's probably going to end up being Taguchi again. I think this spot is going to come from the locker room, the current locker room. But I don't have a read on it though, and I've been worked before, and I like it. And work me, brother, work me softly.
Phantasmo posted on Instagram. Somebody said, Baron Corbin, and kind of that same thing you were saying, Chris. He responded like, "No, I don't want to face, like a WWE reject." Kind of paraphrasing what he was saying, and essentially, he wants it to be somebody that's already in the locker room. So maybe it will just be maybe not Taguchi, but somebody who's kind of already there. I don't know if anybody's ready to come back from injury.
Yuta Nakashima
could be.
Yeah, the Young Blood guys.
He's still holding the WXW tag titles though.
When he comes in, he should call himself Old Blood.
He looks pretty buff too. Just on a little tangent, he looked good. Their last WXW appearance. He looks a little firmer than when he left.
Nice.
As does Oscar. They both look real good. They look like they're about ready to pop their New Japan
Well, at least they do, because there's a lot of guys in New Japan for whatever reason.
Well, Drilla Maloney's taking all the protein. So.
Protein.
There's a lot more protein to go around in Japan ever since Michael Elgin left, you know?
Oh, there's going to be a 40-minute vlog about you now.
Oh, man. So following that, we'll have
Matt's gonna message me and be like, "Why is Michael Elgin reaching out to me?"
Following that, we got Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens, official Bullet Club members here, taking on TMDK's Hartley Jackson and Ray Oiwa. So also you can preview tag up here for the New Japan Cup.
I'm looking at the picture. The little match image here on NJPW 1972, and Bad Luck Fale's shirt says Rogue Army, and Chase Owens' shirt says Bullet Club. So
I don't know. I'm listening to the Twitter account. It said Bad Luck Fale is just Bullet Club.
I don't know. I think Bad Luck Fale, Caveman Ugg are Rogue Army.
Liber Lucci,
the Philippes.
The only two people left in Bullet Club are Gino Gambino and Chase Owens.
and the Bullet Babe.
Is she still around?
Don't you worry. In 90 days, there might be somebody joining.
And I have heard that Bullet Club is for life. So
the devil is in the distance. I don't know the words. I just know the devil is. That's all I say.
Then following that, we'll have just four guys: Taichi, Taka, and Yuya, taking on the Bullet Club War Dogs of Gato, Sonata, and Taiji Ishimori. So again, more preview action there. Then House of Torture. We gotta
get that Sonata push off the ground.
Yeah. Then we'll have
he'll come out with his boom boxes.
He should.
It's a wild look, and that's a wild jacket.
Yeah.
He's got to get some run out of that.
What were boom boxes called other than boom boxes, like blasters or whatever? He used to get like two of those shits and like put them on his shoulders and start walking out with that.
He should actually play his theme music through them. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the way.
Yeah. Or, get New Japan a JVC sponsor like WWE had back in the day.
I think he should play his own music and sing it.
That would require charisma.
Rambo says Jeff Jarrett still has
a
shirt
sing
in the
my
closet.
own songs all the time and I have no charisma.
I don't know.
Sorry, Jeremy.
No,
Jarrett still is Bullet Club for life.
Yes.
As well as NWO 2000, as well as a million other factions.
Scott Norton's still Bullet Club too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Haku, sure.
Yeah.
El Terrible.
Speaking of Bullet Club, House of Torture, which is still officially a part of Bullet Club, Ren Narita and Yoshinobu Kanemaru take on the War Dogs team of Drilla, Maloney, and Gabe Kidd. Then we'll have Hiromu, Shingo, Naito, and Tsuji taking on Dick Togo, Evil, Sho, and Yujiro. And then the last two matches here, title matches, we have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. El Desperado defends against Francesco Akira. Great interview up on NJPW1972.com from Akira talking about just what the title means to him, the whole junior division, United Empire. It was really, really good. I'm really invested in this match, and I think it's going to be great. What do you guys think here? Are we getting a new champ, or is Despy retaining?
I don't think we're getting a new champ, but it wouldn't stun me. But I think this will be great because these guys have really good chemistry and they have shown that in the past. So I know a lot of people want Akira to win here, but I don't see him carrying the belt through Best of Super Juniors, and I don't see a lot of opportunity for him to drop it before that. Maybe Sakura Genesis, I guess, but I don't know if he's the dude that carries the belt through that tournament. So
I agree with you, Chris, but they did. I said the same thing last year about Sho, and it didn't deter them from doing what they did.
Yeah, I mean, they'll still stick Despy and Hiromu in the main events.
Yeah, no, legit.
Yeah. But I echo both of your sentiments. I don't really have much more to add to that. But I am going old champ. I don't see new champ. But I am looking forward to it quite a bit.
And I really want Akira to win. I feel like he's kind of peaking at the right time right now, and I just think that he's just really great worker and has been killing it the last several years. And he's talking about how same building that he won the All Japan junior title in, and his struggle and his build and coming up in Japan and flying himself over there and living there and going from All Japan to New Japan and joining United Empire. I don't know. He probably won't win, but I really want him to get the win here.
Don't work yourself into a shoot, brother.
And that takes us to the main event. Hiroki Goto, his first world heavyweight title defense against the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Will Tanahashi's streak of beating Goto continue, or will the G continue to stand for Goto?
I mean, I think Goto wins this. I think Tanahashi's going to have enough to do over the course of his retirement tour that he doesn't need the title, and he doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to just take one last reign here. But if he was going to win it, he's going to be Goto for it. So
Tanahashi's like, Goto, I have a great plan for you, brother. You're going to win the title, and then I'm going to beat you for it.
It's going to be great. We're going to get over. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be at the anniversary show, which is a big deal. Okay.
All I know is, I watched that pay-per-view on Sunday or Saturday or whatever the fuck it was. But, John Cena, Tanahashi, their careers, they kind of, overlay upon one another. And one of these guys just went heel. All I'm saying, it's the perfect opportunity. New Japan has the opportunity to do the funniest thing possible right now.
We did get a question about that from Bungholio the Mighty on Reddit. It says, in light of recent events in the wrestling world, are we going to see Tanahashi turn heel by winning the IWGP World Heavyweight title from Goto with help from the House of Torture? Tanahashi hands over the IWGP title to his chosen one and the real ace of NJPW, Evil. Your thoughts?
What is that name again? Bungholio the Mighty what?
Yeah. Bungholio the Mighty. Not the first time he's sent a question in.
I know he hasn't, but the way you say it, like you just roll through it. You're like, we got a question from Bungholio the Mighty. Anyways, Tanahashi.
The commitment to saying the names from Reddit is incredible. Oh, I don't think I've ever heard about Bungholio the Mighty.
I appreciate Bungholio the Mighty.
He's asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, sure. I must not be paying attention, but
it's so funny.
It's funny. That's the second Beavis and Butthead reference that I've gotten on audio in the past.
It's not as funny as Pussy Destroyer.
Pussy Destroyer is funny. Yeah, that one's tough not to.
That's always a great one.
And Jeremy always tries to say it like without like emphasizing like Pussy Destroyer.
Oh man, what was the question?
He said, in light of recent events in the wrestling world, are we going to see Tanahashi turn heel by winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship from Goto with help from the House of Torture?
Oh my god.
Tanahashi hands over the IWGP title to his chosen one, the real ace of NJPW, Evil. Your thoughts?
No.
Nah, they're gonna play this one straight, and I think Goto wins. I don't think there's any space for Tanahashi. I don't really know what this match looks like, even because
I'm worried about that.
Yeah. Goto can carry the emotion, and Tana too. They can carry the emotion, but Tanahashi keeps going to that damn top rope, and he can save it. He needs to save that for the dome. Blow it out there. I mean, I'm worried about this man, and I would like to see him in Chicago in a couple of weeks.
Or he just needs to, I've been saying, hit up Rey Mysterio, get the stem cells, do the hit up Bryan Danielson, do the freeze therapy stuff, and like do something, man.
Oh shit! Josh Barnett just announced 7 minutes ago that Natty Neidhart's gonna be working Josh Barnett Bloodsport 13.
Be there.
I gotta see that.
I will watch mostly out of curiosity.
Yeah, but I'm worried about what that match is going to look like. I mean, I don't think Goto is going to drop the title, but like I'm worried about like is Tanahashi going to be mobile? Is he going to be able to scale the ring ropes appropriately? Like,
it's going to be a vibes match.
Yeah, but I hope it's just completely a vibes match where they just do the basics and they're able to, keep us all enthralled without like Tanahashi having to try and turn the clock back. Like, it's just lean into what you can do.
Yeah.
My favorite match of him this year was him and Shibata just chopping each other the whole time.
That was fun.
Yeah, they probably should just have a never match.
Yeah. Yeah, but it'll be vibes. It'll be cool. I think the attendance will be pretty strong for this. I think the people are going to show up and show out for Tanahashi's last anniversary show. And Goto's first defense. I mean, that's a big deal. So, yeah, I'm expecting a good crowd. I'm expecting them to feed off that crowd. And, I'm not expecting, I don't think Tanahashi's getting up for a Shoten Kai or anything. Like, I think this is going to be pretty. If
he doesn't, he's a wuss.
Well, he's only got so many singles matches left. And, we'll see if he even does like a G1, but
he better take a GTW.
Tanahashi will be like, hit me with a lariat, brother.
He's like, all right, here's the plan. Young Lion match, which would be sick. It would be fun.
Wouldn't it be funny if he tapped him out with a fucking Boston Crab?
It would be incredible.
Yeah. I have a question from Doc. He says, 53 years from New Japan, and this is the Ace's shot at the main event title during his retirement year. Does he return to glory? If he does, will this make the Takeshita match even bigger as New Generation versus Ace? Why go for defense instead of Despy?
They're not going to do all that, but he would be the biggest heel in the company if he fucking did that.
But and why are they doing the defense? Because I mean, these guys have been around this company for the last 25 years. So to put them in an anniversary show, and I think you've got to give Tanahashi a big spot on his last anniversary card. So it makes some sense. But again, it's not going to make your classic match of the year list, right? Like, it's going to be what it is. But it could be fun, right? If they work within their limitations, it could be a really good time.
If Tanahashi beats him, there's no getting around the idea that he's also the president. And then you're going to be at that point mixing the kayfabe with the real world feelings and people being angry about the president booking himself to fucking win the world title. Like, it would get too meta at that point.
He's not winning.
He's not going to win.
No.
Yeah. He's not the final boss. So
I have not seen him point to his arms and talk about goosebumps or whatever.
Yeah.
Yo, but Rock really had goosebumps. I saw it in the AK, camera. I saw him. Yo, the funniest shit with Rock is his tequila brand, Terramana. He's got this commercial that comes up on Hulu all the time, and I counted it. He says mana like 9 times. He'll be like, Terramana, taste the mana. You got to feel the mana.
They ran a sizzle reel about how cool he is on the WWE pay-per-view. I mean, like, this man is the most insecure, large, strong man I've ever seen. I mean, like, it was like 5 minutes about how many people follow The Rock on social media and how cool he is and what movies he's in and how he's related to Roman Reigns. They were really trying to get this man feeling good about himself.
You got to wonder who they are, because they does not include Paul Levesque.
I don't know. I don't watch a lot of WWE, but I looked up and there's this sizzle reel for The Rock. And I was like, how is this necessary? And then I realized
people need time to cool down between the matches. They probably just had a long chamber match. You have to give people a break, cool down,
90 minutes of entrances for the Elimination Chamber match. And then the match was a dud.
The main event was really good, though. It was Cody Rhodes and The Rock deciding if he wanted to sell his soul to The Rock. And yes, we are here talking WWE on Keeping It Strong Style once again. Fuck you guys that don't think we're good at this.
Well, you brought up John Cena and Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Because I'm baiting you guys. I want the show to shift to a WWE discussion.
Mm-hmm.
He wants
that's as far as I can go.
Keeping it entertainment style.
I learned that John Cena turned heel via what you said earlier. So
oh really? Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
The funny shit was I told Megan, I was like, oh, this dude's turning, and she's like, no. Yes.
He should be turning his plane to Turkey to get a hair transplant.
Bro, I was wondering, like, is he ineligible with all his money in his house? I wonder if he's done there. And they were like, brother, there's nothing we can do here.
Sorry, sir.
I mean, hustle, loyalty, respect. I guess that means you let your hair fall out.
I don't think so. I think he's
I don't know.
All right. Enough talk.
the man sold his soul to China. Like, you know.
Yeah. All right. Enough Fed talk. Let's jump back into Shinihon here. All right. So we got the New Japan Cup 2025 tournament that's going to be kicking off on March 7th. So yeah. So you guys want to pull up the bracket and kind of work through each of the matches here?
Sure.
All right. So first up here, we got Yota Tsuji versus Evil. Yota Tsuji, the IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion. We saw Evil returning at New Beginning in Osaka to attack one Yota Tsuji. So first big matchup here on March 7th. What do you guys think?
Tsuji, the defending champion of this tournament.
Tsuji, the top performing competitor in both men's singles heavyweight tournaments last year.
Yep.
This man's getting knocked out in the first round, the first big upset of this year's tournament. There's no, you know, I know they've done plenty of teases in the past that we might eventually get a Bullet Club leader versus a Bullet Club leader and everything like that in these, especially in New Japan Cup, and it's never come to fruition. This time they're not playing games. They're gonna do Evil versus David Finlay. David Finlay's got that bye, and Tsuji's bye. He's out. This is it.
Yeah, I agree. He's going to lose, and that's going to set up a global title match, probably for Secure Genesis with Tsuji defending against Evil, getting the win back.
Yeah, and I think they split the two factions essentially. Like the House of Torture and the War Dogs are no longer aligned at all. So, and you know what I will say is the cool thing about the New Japan Cup is that they do typically weave in the stories that are happening in the rest of the, you know, over the course of the rest of the calendar, even better than they do, or more obviously than they do in something like the G1, because there's a little bit more anticipation about whether or not you're going to get those payoffs. And oftentimes they actually do the payoff. So, you know, I think we're staring right at it. It's got to be Evil and David Finlay, and I think that's a money match. And I think the other thing is that it feels like the booking is giving those matches these days. They're not just teasing them; they're actually happening. So I think that it's gonna be Evil going through, and then I think you're right. I think it sets up the perfect global match for Tsuji to hopefully get the win back.
Yeah. So Dave Finlay, he's getting the bye there. So that'll set up Dave Finlay versus Evil. Then next up, Yuya Uemura, the Heat Storm, returning from injury, going up against his former stablemate in Sanada.
Uemura's never won a New Japan Cup match. He's been in 2 tournaments, so he's 0-2. But I think he's winning here. I think he's winning here to take out Sanada and move on to take on Yoshihashi in the second round. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. I think that long term, David Finlay is still my projected finalist. I don't know if that's what's going to come to fruition when I finish my Sport Pro Wrestling block, but as of now, that's the way I see it, you know, playing out. And they teased all throughout last year the idea that we would get a David Finlay versus Uemura rematch somewhere down the line. So I think that that's a really good opportunity to have him, you know, get to that point in the tournament and kind of give him a nice little push, especially returning from injury.
Yeah, I'm also going with Uemura, you know, ride that momentum of him coming back from injury. They're not really doing much with Sanada anyway. I mean, he's just kind of a lower level War Dog guy now. So I think it makes a ton of sense to capitalize. You know, we're in the youth movement right now. Have Yuya get the win and have him go on. And so Yoshihashi has a bye, so that'll set up Uemura versus Yoshihashi. And then on the semifinals, on the left side, we'll have Evil versus David Finlay.
Oh, we're going quadrant?
Yeah, I'm doing it how it pulled up on your website.
Sure. Yeah. I like that style better. than going through the whole first round. I think if we can get to the final four, I think that's good. Cool. I think Finley beats Evil.
I agree, just because I think that David Finley is kind of due. Even if he's not winning the tournament, he probably needs to go deep. At this point. So,
and plus, you kind of already gave Evil something. He's being the global champion. He's gonna get a title match regardless. You don't need him to beat Finley and go further in the tournament.
And I think House of Torture gets a big win elsewhere as we go through the first round in a different quadrant.
Yeah, but that's terrifying now that Jeremy points out, like, we're gonna get Evil versus Tsuji as a global feud.
Yeah. Then next up here in the semifinals, Yuya Uemura versus Yoshihashi.
I think my boy Uemura goes through here.
Yeah, definitely.
He's a player in this thing. He's doing a lot of press. He's out there. He's looking good. He's just coming back from injury. I think he was primed to make a run towards the tail end of the G1 before he got hurt. I think he was going to make it into the knockout stage. He was going to just squeak in. So I think they want to get behind him, and New Japan Cup's a perfect chance to do that, especially given that they gave him an actual first round match instead of giving him a bye. Because the buys were quote unquote random. So they could have done whatever they wanted with it, but I think they're trying to put him in front of people. So I think he beats Yoshihashi pretty easily here.
If you're supposed to convince me that Yoshihashi goes from losing to Oiwa to beating Uemura, come on, bro.
Yeah, I think this is
not happening.
Yeah,
Uemura all day. So then that will take us to the finals of that side of the tournament, which would be Dave Finley versus Yuya Uemura.
It's a tough one. This is the one point in this style of and we've never done it this way, but this style of prediction where you can't look at the other semifinal situations and kind of base it off that. And that's the one weakness here, because I like to do that. But putting all things aside, I am going David Finley. I've been predicting him for a long time. I think as one of in New Japan, they regularly put respect on his name as, one of the faction leaders. He's not a global champion this time around. So I think he sort of needs to have that deep entry into the tournament, especially if he's beating Evil. Plus, like, he already lost to Uemura in the G1 last year. He sort of needs to get that win back.
They are the Finley and Uemura are the top two vote getters to make it to this particular semifinal. But Finley's got 58% of the votes or, predictions, and Uemura's got 21% of the predictions. So the people think David Finley goes through. I think Uemura gets the win here.
Wow. Upset alert.
I mean, you guys know, better than anyone, me and my heart and Uemura, they are one. And if I can convince myself that this man is at least going to the semis, if not the finals, then I'm gonna take that convincing. I think Finley's gonna have enough to do. I think the winner of that match, assuming that match is the match that happens, is the winner of the tournament. Spoiler alert. That's where I'm headed here.
Yeah, that's a great point you brought up. That Finley is going to kind of probably be involved in the whole Bull Club Civil War finally happening between House of Torture and the War Dogs. So if he doesn't win, you could definitely have him. He has a made story to do. But I don't know. I just feel like based off of what happened last year, he was supposed to get to the finals. It was a rumor he was supposed to win. I feel like this might be the make good for him. Even if he doesn't win the tournament, I think getting him to the finals is. But
that's the other thing about that is that Finley's he already has a stake or a claim at Goto, right? Because Goto essentially took over for him in the New Japan Cup last year. And there's some nice full circle. It would be a nice full circle moment for Finley to then go win the New Japan Cup. But I don't think Goto's losing the Sakura Genesis defense. And I think if Finley is the winner of the tournament, he's winning the title. So that's sort of, I'm kind of working backwards from the Ryogoku defense. And Finley could just step up at some point and be like, you know, you're in my spot. You're where I should be. You took my moment. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Very heelish, but it's exactly what he can do. He doesn't need to win this tournament to do that. But all that said, you know, he's the betting man's favorite. But I think he gets knocked out here with Uemura. He'll get bundled up with the House of Torture War Dogs thing for a little while, and eventually he's just going to show up and, you know, do a little beat down on Goto and you know, maybe win the title at something like Dominion if that's the direction that they're going. But, you know, as we go through I think what the next quadrant will be, I mean, he's got someone hot on his tail in his own unit. So, you know, there is a part of me that thinks if they don't go with David Finlay now, they're never going to go with him, which means they might go with him. But either way, my official pick, Yu Uemura, goes through to the tournament semifinals, the Final Four.
Nice.
I left, and I thought you guys had moved on without me.
No. I went on one of my things. I mean, I love that man. I was very excited to see him back, and I'm very excited to see him, you know, finally get some New Japan Cup wins under his belt.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the bottom left quadrant here. So in the quarterfinals, we're going to have Rei Oiwa, the Grip, taking on the returning Chase Owens.
On the one hand, I do think Oiwa needs to win because he is domestic, and the next round is two other white guys. I mean, we can't just have the one domestic star get knocked out and have three white guys in play after that. Like, that's not going to work out. But why the fuck did they fly out Chase Owens in the first place? It makes you a little nervous because you're like,
because there's a job to be done.
He's your classic first rounder.
We didn't need to pay him and for his flight to get him out here to do that. But there's plenty of people on the roster could have laid down their shoulders for 1, 2, 3.
You think they get paid? You think Chase gets paid? I mean, with all the Bullet Club stuff going on, you got to figure he might factor into something. He is officially, he is the last remaining classic Bullet Club member that has no other weird Bullet Club affiliation. He's the last guy standing. He's going to come out with his little Bullet Club t-shirt on, and he's going to fire his little finger gun towards the screen, and they're going to make little sound effects for him, and he's going to lose to Ryohei Oiwa. Or he's going to somehow, I don't know, he's going to corner Fale, or those dudes are going to, you know, run some debauchery. I don't know.
Remember when Road Dogg was the final DX member?
I don't.
Vaguely.
That's what this is.
Yeah, I think Oiwa needs to get the win here. Again, we're in the youth movement. I think the real reason Chase is probably here, you're probably going to get Chase and Fale probably challenging for the tag titles, probably at Secure Genesis. But I think that, yeah, Oiwa needs to get the win here and kind of move on, especially I think the next round matchup, it will make a lot more sense for Oiwa to win, which would be, Zack Sabre Jr. So Zack Sabre Jr. is getting a bye, probably the only bye that makes sense in this tournament. And so I think that's a very great matchup that people really want to see and get invested in.
That'll be fun. So let's hope.
Then after that, we'll have the Madman, Gabe Kidd, the NJPW Strong Openweight Champion, taking on Sold Out Ren Narita. So this is perfect to play off of the whole Bullet Club Civil War, House of Torture being down Gabe Kidd at the end of New Beginning in Osaka.
It's not impossible that Narita, beats him. There's always upsets in this tournament and that sort of thing, but it does feel a little early to get a guy that's sort of rising as a star right now as Gabe Kidd just completely eradicated out of this tournament in favor of Narita. I'd be a little surprised if they did it, honestly.
Ren Narita's winning this match.
You think so?
Oh, wow.
I do.
I don't know.
I think so. I think the story with Gabe is that he can't get a win. He can't get a win. When's the last time Gabe Kidd won a match in New Japan?
Well, I was going to say, the butcher's ass.
I said in New Japan.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you have the stats.
In New Japan, his last win was Callum Newman in the G1.
Well, bro, you changed it at the last second. It said in New Japan, you know.
So either way, in New Japan, he beat Oiwa in December. I mean, we're talking 3-4 months ago now. I think the story with Gabe Kidd is that he can't get a win. So he's got the draw with Ishii, the double knockout with Tsuji. He lost to Omega. He's on the rise, but he can't seem to get a win especially in Japan. You know, otherwise he had the double count out with Goto. He lost to Goto. You have to go pretty far back to find Gabe Kidd's last win, you know, on a domestic New Japan show. And even so, even non-domestic, you have to go pretty far back to find his last win. And they were against Oiwa and Fujita. So like those are not big names. So I think Narita's winning this match, and Gabe Kidd will continue to hunt for a win in Japan.
Not that I don't disagree with you, Chris, but did you notice how he said that the last win was in December, and then he said 3 or 4 months? He started rounding up to prove his point a little bit further.
That's 3 months. By the time this match happens, it'll be 3 months.
You raise it up to 4, you know?
Just not doing my math. But yeah, no, I think Narita wins this. It also establishes Finley still the leader of the War Dogs. But I think there's something brewing with Gabe where eventually to finally win, he has to, you know, accept his fate as the leader of Hantai.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, I think that's great, and that can definitely happen. I think too, also the whole faction warfare. I mean, if Gabe wins, you kind of have the War Dogs just kind of running rampant over House of Torture. However, though, I do feel it's kind of weird to knock both Tsuji and Gabe out of the tournament after the great match they have, and both people, you know, the fans really want both guys getting over.
I don't know. It's a little poetic. Now that Chris is pointing it out, I'm like, I might be sold on the idea. You know, those two guys, you heat them up, you cool them down. Classic Gato.
All right, so Josh, you're going Narita?
It's too late. I already put in Gabe Kidd into to my official bracket.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go with Gabe.
But I get it. You want Gabe out there. You want Gabe doing matches, but, you know, I don't know. He can't seem to get a win.
That's not true. I actually hate him, but I'm just going with my logic.
All right, so
I've heard he's a madman.
Yeah, in case you didn't know,
I've heard that he's completely changed his shtick and become a star randomly overnight with the AEW fan base. But everything he was doing several months ago just sucked. But suddenly he's awesome, right?
You know,
I don't know anything about all that.
Collision, AEW, you know, it's getting over out here. But next quarterfinals, Taichi, he's getting a bye. So then that's going to set up in the semifinals. Oiwa versus Zack Sabre Jr.
TMDK all the way, all day. That's a very, very interesting match there. I'm tempted to pick Oiwa.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, that would be nuts.
It would rule, but it would be crazy.
But if you really want to do something that's crazy, like, I don't know, if we're doing Narita over Gabe Kidd, there is something, you know, that might be the way you go to get Narita all the way through.
Well, but then you can also get to Narita Zack, and that's
there's history there.
But Narita's never going to beat Zack unless they're they're just going with the shallowest victories for Narita the whole way through. But I feel like if you wanted to do something that's topsy-turvy, get a surprise guy there, you know, you have Oiwa beat Zack, you get Narita through, then you wind up with a Finley Narita semifinal.
Interesting. There's a path there that makes sense. Or Taichi beats Narita, and we finally get Zack and Taichi.
That would fucking rule.
Yeah, could do that.
I feel like this show, I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere that I was talking to John Carroll about it. It's somewhere that's important to Taichi. Like it's like the place that they would run the match to. So if they were ever going to do it, I think that would happen.
All right. Without any facts or anything to prove it, Chris says that this is the location where it needs to happen. And you know what? I believe him. Fuck it. Zach's beating Oiwa and Taichi's going to beat that ass. We're going all the way.
I'm going with it. I think I'm going to headcanon this that they're finally going to do Zach and Taichi.
I mean,
yeah, but
they've been teasing it for so long. I mean, I think, yeah, if you're going to do it, why not here? So yeah, I'm going to go with Zach beating Oiwa as well. There also is a story, I think, with Zach and Gabe, which is kind of the UK wrestling history there. I feel like that's another potential reason why Gabe could get through.
The only problem is I put Gabe through and I cannot see Taichi beating Gabe.
The March 15th show, which would be that match, is in Aichi, which is Taichi's land. So
I can see Gabe easily, Taichi could easily beat Narita, but seeing him beat Gabe after Gabe just beat Narita, that's a tough one.
Taichi's not beating Gabe. He can beat Narita though.
Yeah, Rambo said that they don't. I am suing this podcast for emotional damages for getting my hopes up again.
That's fine.
We have no lawyers. We will represent ourselves.
There's not much money you're going to get, pal. Yeah, so I also have Gabe Kid and Taichi. I'm going to go with Gabe because I want the Zach Gabe Kid match.
Oh, you want Zach and Gabe?
Yeah.
I think Zach and Gabe does make sense because of what happened in the G1 this past year, and that's sort of the way I see it happening. But it I don't know, man.
It feels very chalk.
It's so chalk that it feels anti New Japan Cup.
But I like it.
I do too.
I would like that as much, almost as much as Zach Taichi.
Here's the problem: is if I'm hypothetically booking David Finlay to go through, do I realistically think that Gabe and Zack Sabre Jr., all three white dudes, is like the realistic projection of how they're going to do this? Like, I don't know. It seems unrealistic to me. All the same, I'm putting Gabe through, and I think we're going to get, I'm going to go the fun way and get Gabe and David Finlay to sell their differences,
Gotcha. You got Gabe. You got Gabe beating Zach. And then Chris, what do you have? You have Narita versus Zach here, right? Or you have Zach versus Taichi here.
I went with Zach Taichi, and I think Zach goes through. Because I think the first 100 brackets of this thing, my bracket challenge came through, and not a single person picked Zack Sabre Jr. to win the tournament, which feels kind of like he immediately went on ice after losing the title, which is kind of wild to me because he was kind of a hot champion and he had a lot of big spots. And then he lost the title in a great match against Goto. And
that's what happens when you work Fuego del Sol.
So I think they got to heat him up at least enough to get him into this Final Four. He's also he's a player in the New Japan Cup. I mean, the man has won the tournament a couple times. So I think you got to at least get him to the Final Four. So I think Zach beats Taichi in a classic that sells a shitload of tickets, and they finally do it. And yes, it's in the quarterfinals of the New Japan Cup, but it'll be great. So yeah, I think Zach goes through, which puts my left side semifinal Yuya Uemura versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Nice. I'm gonna go with my bracket. I'm going with Zach over Gabe Kidd, which would give me Zach and Finlay. And I don't know, for me, I feel like the left bracket's going to be, the white man bracket. And I'm going to have a Japanese guy come out of the right side of the bracket. And so, the two top foreigner guys, and they really haven't touched a whole ton lately, I don't think. And so
you know of.
I feel like, like you said, Chris, you want to get Zach heated back up and show that he's still a top guy. And then Dave Finlay, you want to kind of cement him as a leader and top guy. So I feel like that's a great match they're going to have in that Final Four area there. Josh, what did you have in your bracket there?
Yeah, I already said I've got Gabe beating Zach in the finals. Gabe goes through. We're going to wind up with David Finlay versus Gabe. an all War Dogs semifinal.
Nice.
Which is, I know it's not the most likely outcome, but there's probably a lot of people that are hearing this for the first time and being like, oh, that would be fucking crazy, because there's so much attention on the Civil War, and we kind of taken the attention off the idea of who is the real leader of War Dogs.
Should they both continue to be in the War Dogs, right? I mean, how does David Finlay feel about Gabe Kidd walking out with a lion mark on his shorts?
Yeah.
Right? There's something.
So should they both step down and let Sonata take over?
I mean, the one true leader with all his charisma.
If there's anybody that understands evil and all his wiles, that's the one person that should be manning the helm.
Makes sense.
And where is Jake Lee?
Where is Jake Lee?
I mean, he's hurt.
Jake Lee's going to be fucking X against El Phantasmo.
It could be Jake Lee.
That's a good guess.
He's. I feel like I heard he was pretty far out, but that could have been workers working.
I would never know.
You got to ask questions.
To who?
I thought you had friends.
We do, but it's like you.
I thought your best friend worked in the office over there.
No. Oh, you mean Rocky? Yes. Rocky doesn't
our
answer
good
our
friend.
messages.
I mean, to be fair, we don't really actually message him that often, so.
Except for when it's me.
He'll pop up for episode 400, right?
Yeah, we'll see. We're like 21 episodes away.
There you go.
I gotta go listen.
Now
we gotta go back and listen to the last 3 and figure out what questions we can't ask him again.
Yeah. Well, number 1 question: why isn't Bad Dude Tito in Japan?
It's a good question.
So what's the holdup with Bad Dude Tito? That's what we really want to know.
He would laugh and answer honestly.
Yeah. Why do we still have strong titles?
So, Dave, he keeps talking about this Harold May conspiracy. What the fuck is the deal with that?
Is Carl Anderson coming in?
Why haven't you blocked Carl Anderson from coming in? That's the real question.
By that point, he'll probably already be.
He'll be in.
He will have come and gone by then.
Yeah.
So how wild was it when you recommended that Carl Anderson final the G1 and then he won?
All right, let's jump over to the top right side of the bracket here. We got the current TV champion El Phantasmo taking on Great Okan.
Great Okan gonna beat that ass.
I agree. That's why I think Phantasmo's going to retain at the anniversary, and then you have Okan beat him to get a TV title shot
and set up a rematch with Shota Umino.
Yeah,
right.
There's too many reasons why he shouldn't win. So it's it just makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okan wins that.
Umino getting the bye there. So then we got Tetsuya Naito versus the Prince of Pace, Callum Newman, returning from injury.
I started to believe that maybe we would get an all United Empire match between Newman and Jeff Cobb, and we do something kind of fun, fresh, and exciting there. But it's like, unless this is going to be a situation where we're setting up Naito and Hiromu to be challenged by Callum and some other member of United Empire, there's just no reason for him to really realistically win that match, considering who's next. I think Naito and Cobb have a lot of history. I believe that this is Cobb's swan song. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm being worked, but that's what seems to be indicated. So who better to beat him than Naito? I think Naito is going to be the guy that wins here and goes on to face Cobb.
I think Callum Newman's finally beating Naito.
Wow.
It's their third singles match. I don't know. I don't know that there's any other. I don't know there's going to be a lot of opportunity to pay that off. That like Newman and Naito have this kind of these intersecting paths. And Newman's coming back from injury, right? I've heard through the grapevine that he's bulked up, that he looks, like a heavyweight, that he's like a big dude now. I could be
on the juice.
I could be totally wrong. I don't know that that's true. I haven't seen the man, but I think this is a spot. This is the upset. Like, this is that first round upset that we're not expecting at all. And I think it sets up Newman to have a match with Cobb. If Cobb is leaving, you have to imagine that he wants to have a match with one of these guys that he's traveled up and down the road with for a couple times. So maybe this is their chance to do that. And Naito is right there with Tanahashi. I don't know how many singles matches he's got in him. And if anyone could carry him through one, like quite literally, it's Jeff Cobb. But I also do think that could set up Cobb and Newman to be the tag team that goes up against Naito and Hiromu. And that's a nice mix, right? You've got a lighter guy, right? A faster guy in Newman, and a big heavy with Cobb. And then you've got, Naito and Hiromu with a similar sort of size dynamic. So I think Newman wins. I think this is Newman's chance to finally beat Naito in the third singles match. And Newman doesn't have that many singles matches under his belt, and to, have his third one against Naito coming up, at some point you got to pay that off.
I think what you've proposed is plausible,
sure,
and it's definitely generous. But if I was playing devil's advocate and basically throwing out the least generous version of that, it's like, I'm Cobb. I'm going to WWE. Do I want to lose?
Jeff Cobb's going to say he's leaving until he's
But I believe he's leaving.
You've believed he's leaving the last 5 years around this time.
No,
like,
I never
everyone
have. This is the first time I've ever believed he's
always thinks Cobb is leaving, and Jeff Cobb really likes it in Japan.
Well, I've never believed he was leaving, but this time I think he is leaving. And if
he's been talking about leaving for since 2021.
But this is the only time I thought it was plausible. So if, let's say, he is leaving, do I want to job to Callum Newman on the way out and put over a young star, or do I want to put over a big star like Naito, who, it makes sense. He's a big star. So you
think we're getting 3 singles matches from Tetsuya Naito now?
Yep.
That's more insane than thinking Callum Newman's winning this match.
I don't. I just think it will suck, but I don't think it's insane. I just think it's something that's going to happen.
I like what Chris proposed, but for me, I'm thinking the business aspect. Like, I know if Naito loses, he'll still be on the tour on undercards, but I feel like for the drawing power of the tournament, you draw more of Naito being alive for a little bit longer.
I think everyone knows he's cooked.
So here's the thing. I think the story of this tournament, at least for this quadrant, it's all about Shota Umino. And I don't think that it's going to be a story that is just based around happenstance people that he faces. I think it's going to be all meaningful individuals that he's faced in the past. So I think Great Okan is a mountain he needs to overcome. I think Tetsuya Naito is a mountain he needs to overcome. So because I'm thinking that we're getting some sort of new wrapping around Umino, yes, I think we're going to get some shitty singles matches from Naito. But I think Naito is going to be that guy standing across the ring from Umino. That's just my personal opinion. Chris?
That's fair. That's a fair.
Right way more times than I ever.
Well, it's a fair way to work back. It's a fair way to work backwards into it. I don't think Umino, if they fire Umino into what I assume then Umino wins and goes to the semis in your bracket,
he might win the fucking tournament the way I'm talking about it right now.
That's insanity, because then
know it is.
That is so much faster than that needs to happen. Like,
I know
he shaved his head. This man should come out in black trunks and run to the ring, and he should. I mean that. He should start over and lose to Great Okan again. Eventually, Great Okan becomes the white whale, and in that case, in that scenario, Tetsuya Naito has nothing to do with the rest of it. In your scenario, if that's what they're doing, if they're firing Umino back up and they're just saying like, all right, well, we tried and you failed in the Tokyo Dome, but damn it, we're going to put you in the finals of the New Japan Cup again, and we're going to Roman Reigns your ass down everyone's throat. Like, sure, yeah, Naito should win, but I think that sucks. And it is totally plausible. It's totally plausible. I'm giving you that. I think it joking. Sucks.
I was joking about the idea of him winning the tournament. I think there's some people listening. They're like, fuck, they might go all that way. But I do think that they have a habit of taking someone down a losing stretch, rehabbing them in this tournament, putting on
losing stretch. He lost one match and shaved his head.
Yeah, but he sucked before that. He shouldn't even been in the fucking match to begin with.
He's gonna keep sucking. Like,
right.
But what I mean that's the problem is that I have very little hope.
Match in the first place.
I have very little hope for Shota Umino, and it pains me to say that what you've just put forward is totally plausible too, and I just think it sucks. So I cannot stand behind it.
Okay, I do understand that, and I sympathize with it. But what I do think is that they're going to put some. I don't think they're going to have him just show up as a young lion.
No, that would be awesome.
And I don't think they're going to do the Yuya Uemura where it's like he just shows up as Shota Umino with a shaved head.
Yeah.
They are going to put a new coat of paint on him. I don't think he's going to win the tournament.
But
I do think that they're going to go a new path with him and
how much paint thinner is there to get all the coats of paint off of Shota Umino? I mean, like this man, it's like the 9th refresh since he came back. I'm assuming he's a dud.
Right. And I agree. But I'm assuming that it's going to be like the sink that I stripped where we take all the paint off, we put some lacquer on. So hopefully they have something planned here. I do think they have something planned, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. But I think he's beaten people that he's lost to in the past.
If that match presumptively with Great Okan happens and I see on that Jumbotron screen, the Roughneck, I'm throwing my remote at the television.
Yeah, I'm kind of in alignment with Josh here. I'm thinking that I don't think Umino's going to win, but I do think they kind of start a slow redemption story with him, and getting a win over Great Okan doesn't hurt Okan because Okan's going to beat Fantasma and move into the TV title picture, and then you have Umino get that win back from Okan, and then he has to face Naito again. You're going to say I'm crazy, but I'm going to have Naito beat Umino there and have him fumble there, and then it's a continued just redemption story of Umino trying to find himself, find his footing, and having to continue to avenge losses for the rest of the year.
See, but my absolute disdain for Shota Umino is how I ended up with Great Okan going to the semifinals this is a weak quadrant of the bracket. Like it is very weak.
It is one of the weakest quadrants.
It's the weakest quadrant, I think. Bottom right's got some players in it. So yeah, it's the weakest.
I think the bottom right's going to fucking rule though.
Oh yeah. But I don't think anyone out of that bracket, save for maybe Shingo, is like a plausible winner of the tournament.
Yeah.
Who are you to
count
out TJP?
I hate everything about Shota Umino.
Well, real quick. So
yeah, we're off the rails.
So Okan Umino, Chris, you're going Okan.
God, I want to, but I think I've been convinced that I have to go Umino because the only other way. Because if I go,
we've litigated the whole entire bracket.
if I go Okan, then I'm getting another United Empire Derby, right? And I'm getting Okan and Cobb. If Cobb's leaving, maybe he's lobbying to get these singles matches with his United Empire guys. No, I know they wouldn't do it, but
it's the United Empire. They don't give a fuck about them. There's no Will Ospreay.
But they like Jeff Cobb. We know they like Jeff Cobb.
That's why they're gonna give him
Naito.
Naito.
Nah, I think Cobb beats Newman. Okan beats Umino. But in this bracket, I'm sending Cobb to the semis, which is plausible. He's a tournament wrestler that they give big pushes to.
So you have Cobb
or someone on the New Japan Reddit, one of those fanboys.
What?
Going with your heart instead of your head right now.
That's what I'm doing here. I'm betting with my heart, because if I bet with my head, I'm going to win my own contest again. I don't want to.
So you're doing Cobb and Newman?
I'm doing Cobb Newman because I think Newman's beating Naito. And then I'm doing Cobb goes through on that. And then on the top half of this quadrant, it was Great Okan versus Umino. I think Okan beats Umino again. And then you get Cobb, Khan, and Cobb goes through to the semis for me.
Gotcha. For me, I'm going with that Naito Cobb matchup. And I'm going with Naito beating Cobb to get through to Umino versus Naito. And I'm going to go with Naito beating Umino.
I have Umino beating Naito to advance.
I hate it. I'm going to be so mad if that happens.
That's what I see happening.
I think. Well, here let's look at some data.
Okay. Here we go.
Let's see. Umino. Let's see. What do we want? We want advance to the semis. Is that where we're at right now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Umino advance to the semis. He has the third highest in the of the picks. So 57% of these brackets have him going to the semifinals.
So 57% of the people that are voting are smart.
But yeah, that's third highest behind Shingo, David Finlay, Umino. That's sad. I'm sorry. It's plausible. It's plausible. Here's the thing. We laid out a good. Laid out a good path to it.
I agree with everything you said about Shota Umino, and we don't need to relitigate Umino. We all know how we feel about him. But there have been those moments where he has gotten us invested. What if the thing that they see in him is still under the surface and they're like digging to pull that out? I mean, they didn't put him in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom for no reason. I think there is a redemption arc, even if we don't want it to be the case.
Sure.
I'm sure management feels like there's something to redeem there.
Without a doubt. And I'll give you that they are invested in him and they sort of need him to work, right? But do they need him to work this quickly, like immediately? That's the question that I have.
Well, he's getting lapped.
I think you could heat him back up in a G1 better than you could heat him back up in this tournament. Because this tournament it's single elimination. They already gave him a bye. He's not going to have that much screen time. Like quite literally, like time on the screen. He's not going to have as much as he would have to rebuild his character or rebuild whatever he's got. I am very open to him coming out in a true new gimmick. But if this man shows up as the roughneck carrying around a Death Rider's jacket in a pink and white pants again, and he's just Umino with bald, sort of, because it's been a month now. He'll have a little bit of hair. Like, that's awful. And he better lose. But if he comes out with a whole...
If this man comes out with a veil,
and
his hands point together and paint on his body and on his head, and he spits fucking mist, and he breathes fire before he
well, that's the thing. Like, who hasn't Umino stolen a gimmick from yet? Like, who's left? Ishii? Put him in some shorts.
If you think about the history of New Japan, I can't think of very many, like, not just Wrestle Kingdom, but like Tokyo Dome main eventers that haven't made some sort of impact to the bottom line and been pushed as a main eventer. I can't think of anybody that has ever failed in that way. We are potentially looking at the precipice. If this doesn't work with Shota Umino, we're in like Eric Watts level of like failure, but like worse. That is on the table. Even though I feel like New Japan's on the precipice of like turning the corner on business, we might have made the biggest fucking mistake of like since like 99. But I don't think they feel that way. I think they see something in them, and
Yeah,
I think they're trying to redeem him.
He's getting lapped by Suji and Kid and Uemura and Oiwa. So I think this is the last grasp here. They're grasping at straws. They're going to try anything, I think, to get him over and catch him back up to speed with some of those guys. But I think it might take a while.
I was going to say, I just don't think it has to happen here, right? Like, oh, he lost to Great Okan, shaved his head, and then, oh, he flipped the switch and now he's great and can win matches and has a whole new vibe. Like, he can come out with a whole new vibe, but I still think he should have, there's a reason it's a redemption arc, not just a redemption moment, right? There's gotta be some building blocks somewhere along the lines.
Well, Jeremy listed a bunch of really great wrestlers that still have a lot of future in front of them. And when I think about Goto and the fact that he just came along at a time period where there were some of the greatest wrestlers that ever lived in the same time period as him, the first time he challenged for the IWGP title, 2007. The first time he won the title, 18 years later, 2024. So maybe for Shota Umino, we're looking at 2042 for this man to really hit his stride.
Oh, man.
When he finally decides he actually wants to be a pro wrestler.
Chris keeps pointing out how it's too early, and I think he's probably right. We're looking at another 18 years.
This is the long game.
Gotta,
Oh, man.
His dad will keep pushing him out there to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish all the best in the world for Red Shoes, but another 18 years, that's a long time.
You could do the hand thing for 18 more years. Be like, oh, Sonata, gotta.
I mean, Tiger Hattori was referenced for a long time.
Long time.
He's going to be like Tiger Hattori.
Yeah. Well, let's jump to the bottom right quadrant here. So we got Tomohiro Ishii versus Drilla Maloney. Drilla coming off of that big win and defeating Shingo Takagi at New Beginning in Osaka. I think this is the start of the Drilla push. I think that he's going to take off another Never legend here and beat the Hall of Famer Tomohiro Ishii.
I disagree. I think this is the start of the Shingo push, which is going to be catapulted by Drilla beating Shingo. And if you thought that Shingo made Drilla look really good, wait until you see Ishii make Drilla look like $1 million. He's going to look like an IWGP World Title contender.
Yeah. So you have Ishii winning? Yeah, you have Ishii beating Drilla?
No, I have Ishii making Drilla look like $1 million and doing a JOB so that we can get Shingo beating Drilla in a meaningful way.
Yeah, you made it sound like you were disagreeing with me.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just sounding temperamental, but I'm actually agreeing with you. We're doing 50-50 booking in 2025.
Yeah.
Yes,
it does sort of feel that way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
But Drilla, yes. It's interesting to me, though, that they're feeding Drilla like the beefy boys, right? Like Shingo, Ishii. I mean, he would move on to face TJP, and there's some history there, right? Drilla came in, TJP brought him in, Drilla turned, Drilla went to the War Dogs. So this kind of could put a bow on that a little bit.
We're going to get an Aswang, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'd be stunned if we don't. So yeah, I think Drilla beats Ishii here, moves on to TJP, and it all makes sense.
Yeah. Then we got Bolton Oleg versus Bad Luck Fale.
Bolton Oleg is there to shoot you old Yeller and put him out to pasture. The only reason they brought in Bad Luck Fale is to get gut wrench superplexed like several times.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking awesome. The over under is 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think Bolton's gonna wreck this guy. Yeah, it's gonna be quick. Kamikaze 1, 2, 3. It's gonna be a great match to get the strength of Bolton over.
How fucking awesome would it be to see Bolton Oleg go on a like a Goldberg run where he just starts running through fucking folks.
It'd be awesome.
2% of the entries of the Sport of Pro Wrestling Bracket Challenge have picked Bad Luck Fale to beat Oleg.
Share their names.
I will find them, and I will. There is a person that picked Fale to win the tournament.
Wow.
Nuh-uh.
I'm looking at it.
That's a joke. Fuck.
It's got to be. But it's got to be from the JCast Discord. There are 5
I'll
people,
never go there because of that now.
There are 5 people who think Fale gets into the second round, and then the one person who thinks Fale wins another match thinks he wins all his matches. So
the resurgence of the underboss.
It's, maybe it's one of the Australians. Because,
maybe it's
Fale.
Maybe it's Caveman Ugg.
It might just be Bad Luck Fale. Yeah.
It might be Tony Cozina.
I could out them right now, but I choose not to.
It's Richard Maluda.
It's Chase. It's actually Chase Owens.
All right. So
Oleg wins that match. It's gonna be awesome though. It'll be fun.
And we both got Drilla. We all have Drilla versus TJP, right?
Yeah.
So we're all going with Drilla there.
I go Drilla through. Yeah.
I think that's gonna be a sleeper match of the entire tournament.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
That'll be really good.
Then we got Bolton versus Shingo.
I'm going Shingo, but it would be awesome to see Bolton win, but I think Shingo's winning there.
I also got Shingo.
I think Shingo goes through, and then we get Drilla Shingo here.
That's what I'm counting on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm going, like you mentioned, Josh, 50-50. I'm going to have Shingo get that win back from Drilla to advance.
Same.
So Jeremy, what's your final 4?
So I have Finley Sabre coming out from the left side, and then I have Naito Shingo coming out of the right side.
Oh.
And I have Finley Gabe and Shota Shingo, which presents some very interesting finals.
Yeah.
Considering the history between those 4 guys, you could do some interesting things there.
Yeah, and I've got Yuya, Zack Sabre Jr., and Jeff Cobb Shingo.
That's not happening.
I did it again.
Dude, that Jeff Cobb Shingo, though, that sounds great.
That'd be sick. Yeah. Both of those matches would be great. No, that is unhinged. It's that top right, because I cannot bring myself to put Naito through, and I cannot bring myself to give Shoto Umino a win. So I'm left with the scrubs in the top right. And, Jeff Cobb's no scrub, but
it's going to be even funnier in Chris's bracket wins again.
I'll be
when Chris is 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my final 4, I'm like, boys, look what I did.
Oh man.
Oh no. How did I get here? I'm sorry, everybody. This is not helpful.
But it's so funny.
But they both be good matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that'd be wild booking, but really good matches. So
the way I see it, Shingo. Why are you laughing?
Because it's hilarious. Sorry.
Shingo versus David Finlay as a final makes a ton of sense, just considering the history there, the feud they had last year, the way everything shook out with the New Japan Cup last year. I think that'd be a really great way to go. And then if you want to go the Reiwa generation route, you got Shota Umino and Gabe Kidd right there on the table.
But you've also, in theory, I think realistically, taking my heart out of it, Umino Uemura is actually the most interesting final.
And that would follow the whole youth movement that they're doing.
Yeah, I just don't know if that draws.
That's following your route. I don't have Uemura factored in at all.
No, right, because you still believe in David Finlay.
Exactly, and that's where the divide is there.
Yeah. Shingo in the brackets. Shingo's the most picked to go to the semifinals. So like Shingo's got what seems like the clearest path to the final four here. Yeah, it goes Shingo, Finlay, Umino, Zach, Gabe, Yuya, Cobb, and that's everyone over 20% to the semis. So Cobb's not that unhinged, I guess. People like him.
For me personally, I don't think Shingo. Okay, so my final four: I got Shota, I got Shingo, I got Gabe, I got David Finlay. Shingo is only going to win this thing if he's there as a defense of the month for Goto. I do not see him as being a guy that could beat Goto. Gabe could only go through if you really are determined to put the rub on him as being the guy that beats the old guard in Goto. And I don't necessarily see them ready to sort of go that direction. So for me, the most realistic, like two guys that could win this thing are either Shota Umino or hypothetically David Finlay based on my projections. I honestly think we're getting Shingo versus David Finlay. I think David Finlay's the guy that's going through, and I think he's going to win the world title. The only thing that gives me pause about this entire thing is the storyline that has sprung up between him, Evil, and the War Dogs and the House of Torture, because that seems like sort of a sideline sort of thing that's off to the side from, dealing with the world title. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm just looking at the guys. Do I really believe that we're going to go with Shota Umino? Do I really believe that they're ready to crown Gabe? Like, I don't see any heir apparent that is ready to take the mantle from Goto other than David Finlay. He's the guy that I see as being the one that's ready, especially considering their history with the New Japan Cup last year and the story that kind of, surrounds that entire thing. I think it makes a lot of sense to have him go into May and win that belt at Dantaku.
Bullet Club
Finlay,
Day.
you think Finlay wins the title at Dantaku?
I do.
But the winner of this tournament gets the title shot at Ryogoku in April at Sakura Genesis.
Well, then I fucked up. My bad. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I
the
think
thing.
he'll be the April winner.
But that's the thing that I think that's what keeps me away from Finlay winning the tournament, because he can just beat the shit out of Goto after the Dantaku defense and then take the Dominion defense and then win. Because he already has a claim over Goto. They've got enough story there where he doesn't need the tournament, right? And one of these other dudes could win the tournament and fill Ryogoku with another feel-good win for Goto, or finally have Goto take on a young guy and kind of elevate somebody in a loss, and then Finlay comes out and they could do the title defense at Dantaku.
Here's the problem with your logic on that. You don't have David Finlay going into the finals.
No, I don't. But I do think Finlay is one of the more likely. He's probably the most likely winner of this tournament.
Right, but knocking him out as early as you are kind of precludes him from being the guy that challenges next, because usually...
Oh, that's not true. Well, yeah, okay, because usually the loser
challenges in May.
But they haven't done that.
They haven't done that as dogmatically as they have in the past.
They definitely didn't do it last year.
No, but they've done it so many times, you can't discount it.
Yeah. Heard
right,
that.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I normally would agree, but I feel like Gato has done so many things different from his normal booking patterns the last couple of years.
True.
It's kind of hard to go back on that. And I don't know. I feel like for Finley, so I have Finley Saber on the left side. I have Finley beating Saber, and I have Shingo Naito. I have Shingo beating Naito. So my final is also Shingo and Finley. And my thinking there is, again, this was supposed to be Finley.
Shingo wins.
No, I have Finley winning. I think that.
Oh, my bad.
This was, last year I think was supposed to be his tournament. So I think this is going to be a make good. And you're elevating him. You have him, for me, I have him beating Zach, the former champion, going to the finals. And then you have Shingo, a former New Japan Cup winner, former champion. There's history between Shingo and Finley. And having Finley beat Shingo, I think, is a great guy to beat to elevate him to challenge Goto at Secure Genesis.
Okay. But are you bold enough to say right now that you think that David Finley is going to win the title in April like I do? Or no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Goto title reign is going to be super long. I think it's more of a gold watch. There's going to be some nostalgia. I don't think that we're getting a super long. I don't think Shibata's going to get his Goto match in August for the title.
That man went into business for himself is what happened there.
Likely. I mean, Shibata also wants Tanahashi at Forbidden Door.
He wants whatever's going to pay the most and provide them with the most, eyeballs. The highest spot on the card.
So I have Yuya Uemura and Zack Sabre Jr. I've got Yuya Uemura winning that match. Going to the final.
Wow.
That's bold.
You got him winning the fucking tournament.
Yeah, I do. I have them strapping a rocket to Uemura.
So then, do you have Uemura beating Goto?
No. I think Goto wins that match, and I think eventually, the person that takes the belt off, no matter what happens in this tournament, I think the person that takes the belt off of Goto is David Finlay.
You just have it a little bit later than we do.
I just don't think it happens via this tournament or via Secure Genesis. I truly believe Finlay can just do a beatdown and do a promo that says, you've been in my spot. You've been in the spot I should be in for the whole year, for a year now, and I'm taking my spot back. And then they do a challenge at Dominion or Dontaku, and Finlay wins that. I think when Finlay challenges for the title, he's going to win.
Yeah, Dontaku would make probably more sense with it being, Bullet Club month and Bullet Club day, and Bullet Club things happen at Dontaku. So yeah, it could make a ton of sense for that's when, he beats down Goto after Secure Genesis, and then he fights Goto at Dontaku.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. But I think they continue to run the trail of the New Japan Cup being the Young Guys tournament.
Yeah.
And I think last year was Tsuji, this year Uemura, next year, Oiwa, Narita, whatever, right? Whoever's got the hot hand. I think maybe that becomes a trend, but none of those guys can get over the hump in the G1. Something like that.
Yep, that could play out. So you got Uemura.
And I've got Shingo going through on the other side. So Uemura, Shingo, and Uemura wins as the fiery babyface.
Have they wrestled before?
I don't think so. Not in a meaningful match. Maybe when Yuya was on his sort of way out, he did a bunch of singles matches. Let's do some searching. Let's see. Let's find Shingo.
So for me, I've got the final being Shingo versus Dave Finlay. Which me and Jeremy, it sounds like we've... Oh, my bad.
Sorry, they did Shingo Yuya in the 2024, last year's first round. And Shingo beat Uemura in 23-22. And now I recall that being pretty good. And then they did Shingo Uemura at Resurgence last year for the Never Openweight title, and Shingo won that match in 21 minutes. So Shingo and Uemura have some history here.
Yeah, that's the match where he ate up Uemura.
Yeah. It was Dave had it at 4.5. The New Japan Cup match Dave had at 4.5. Cage match has it at 7.36. So 3.
Dave's ratings are so
Dave-flation's real. Yeah. So that's a 3.5-ish match. But it was the main event of that show. So there's something there. That's not deep lore by any means, but there's some history.
I think me and Jeremy both my bad. We have questions.
Yeah. So a few questions here. Doc says, with the New Japan Cup solidly in the hands of Evil, where do you guys expect to see the biggest surprise in the tournament? Is there a pattern to who usually wins?
Goto usually wins. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm missing in the New Japan Cup. I'm missing Hiroki Goto, who has the most New Japan Cup, both tournament and single match wins. Hiroshi Tanahashi has the second most. And then right behind that, I mean, most of the winningest and the guys who have participated in this particular tournament, they're all aging out now. So, and there's no Toru Yano. He's got the second most New Japan Cup matches. Tanahashi, Makabe, Nagata. I mean, you got to go all
there's no Nagata.
Yeah, you've got to go all the way down to Sonata to find a guy. He has the 6th most New Japan Cup matches all time, and he's the highest in this particular tournament. So, I mean, we're missing a lot of the like New Japan Cup standards, right? And just to not have Goto in the New Japan Cup, and I know he missed a couple of years in the late teens, I think 2017, 2018, but just to not have Goto in this tournament is kind of odd. And no Yano, right? I mean, like, we're seeing a true change of the guard here too. So, because they used to just trot out Makabe for a first round loss every year. Nagata too, a little bit like that.
Kojima.
Tanahashi always, Kojima. All those dudes used to get a first round match. Tenzan even. So it's weird to see this tournament without any of that class of guys. But I think that's what makes it a little bit more interesting, because they're not just trotting out loss posts that are like sure things. Like, you knew Makabe wasn't doing a second singles match. And, they used Makabe's singles match with Tanahashi, I guess. So he's not going to show up for that. So there's some youth in this tournament. I don't know if that answered the question at all, but it's a thing I wanted to say.
Next question here from Rambones. He says, do you see the New Japan Cup winner as the next title holder, or will Goto's reign go past Kurt Genesis? If it does, how does that change who should win the cup?
I already sort of litigated that. I think if David Finlay wins the cup, he's winning the title. I think most of the other people in the tournament, I don't think they put the title on Uemura, but I do think he could be a New Japan Cup winner.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, all three of us kind of think David Finlay's going to win the title. It's just how we get there is different.
Yeah,
essentially. So that's really your answer. So, death, taxes, David Finlay wins the IWGP World Title. That's like your 3 guarantees in life right now.
And honestly, if Finlay's not the one to dethrone Goto, I think Finlay gets downcycled, and they're just going to get behind Gabe. And I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what'll happen. But I think we're at another moment with David Finlay where if they don't do it or go with him, he's really swimming upstream then.
Yeah. Next question, we kind of touched on this. He said, will Gato finally give us Zack versus Taichi? I am doubtful he will want Taichi to beat Gabe Kidd, so I'm not betting on it happening here, but if not now, then when? Yeah, we kind of touched on it.
Do it.
Yeah.
I think it's happening. But, I mean, I'll put the clown makeup on when it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, I don't know what else. I mean, I guess a G1, if Taichi can get into a G1.
Well, right, that's the thing. I don't know.
I'm nervous about the future of Taichi in this company and entirely.
Sure. That's fair.
Yeah.
He was pissed he wasn't in the G1. So I've heard.
And his last question is, will Shota's new haircut lead to a sudden winning streak similar to Drill Maloney? Or do you think that Shota needs more time to struggle in order to cement whatever character change is being attempted? And we kind of touched on that. Chris, you feel like he needs to struggle a lot more.
We dug deep on that.
Yeah.
Deep.
Dark Soldier says, Uemura feels like the sleeper winner for New Japan Cup. What say you?
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, definitely a sleeper winner there for Chris. I mean,
no, he's front of mind for me.
Yeah, if you're gonna go with the whole youth movement and you want the Reiwa guys getting moments and wins, I mean, yeah, why not go with Uemura, have him face Goto at Secure Genesis, and then you can still get your Dave Finlay match whenever.
I'm not a big fan of that scenario. I think if you go all the way with him, do we need to go all the way just to set him back? How beneficial is that to just give him the tournament win and then kind of rebuff the entire push?
Well, look where Suji is now.
Right, but I didn't. Me personally, I'm a little bit critical of the way that they pushed Suji, and it felt like they could have gotten here a little more organically with an actual concerted push. I don't know how strong the tournament win and the tournament final in the G1 really were in the long term. I know some people are high in that. I'm personally not as high on it. I think that like just having them win titles and get pushed is the real answer. So if you want them to win the tournament, might as well be Goto at that point, in my opinion.
Oh, I'm with that. Let's go. I just don't think that's realistic.
I don't either. That's why I don't think he's winning.
Yeah, I don't think
you think whoever's winning this tournament's dethroning Goto.
Personally, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't think it's the best look to have Goto beat a Reiwa guy. I feel like he should be just beating like contemporaries and not the like. I think if he faces a Reiwa guy should beat him if it's not going to be Finlay.
I think if he beats a Reiwa guy, then the story should be, I'm beating all the Reiwa guys' asses until the final Reiwa guy is ready to beat me. But I don't think that's the story they're doing because they got him fighting Nagata and fucking Tanahashi.
Well, I mean, he's putting a bow on that generation before he moves on to the current generation.
Yeah, that's the headcanon.
Well, but that's why I think he needs more time. But there's no one from that. I mean, unless you're putting.
All right, so let's
unless Ishii's winning this tournament, there's no one from that generation in this tournament to set up the Secure Genesis match.
Then it's time for him to just win the entire fucking year. Year of
Summer of Goto.
The year of Goto, and we'll figure out which Reiwa guy we want to put him in the in the Tokyo Dome with next January 4th.
It'll be Tanahashi in his retirement match.
And Tanahashi will get the belt.
and he wins and then vacates.
Yeah.
Then the Fantastica Mania tournament is for the big belt.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
All right. Well, that is our New Japan Cup preview and predictions there. So there's still time to enter the contest. Chris wants to cut off for entering the contest.
It is at bell time on March 7th. So what is that? 3:30 a.m. Central on March 7th when that Korakuen show begins. So yeah, sportofprowrestling.com if you want to enter and get a chance at some awesome paywall New Japan content.
What happens if I win? Because I think I am.
Then you'll finally be in the JCast Discord.
All right, we got a few news items here. Josh, you have the rundown up? Or you want me to do it?
I will pull it up. You can go.
All right. There's only a few things here. So New Japan, during Fantastica Mania, they revealed the Best Super Junior 2025 tournament schedule. So there'll be 13 events in total, beginning in Chiba on May 10th and ending in Tokyo on June 1st. Then we talked about it a little bit. Shibata had some comments here. He wants a challenge for the IWGP World title at Forbidden Door this summer, hoping for it to be either Tanahashi or Goto. Mercedes Moné announced for NJPW Resurgence in California in May. And then we had the passing of Osamu Nishimura, a guy who spent a lot of time in New Japan and in Japanese wrestling. And Josh, I don't know if you had any thoughts to share. I'm not very familiar with Nishimura, so I don't have a ton to share about him.
Yeah, it sucks to have just recently had the passing of Gran Hamada, and then to kind of follow that up a week later with Osamu Nishimura. I kind of talked about this a bit in the Discord. Nishimura was a big factor in New Japan from like the late 90s to the early 2000s. So very much in play during the quote unquote dark ages of New Japan. So if there was a guy that I'm a fan of, that's a little bit of a blind spot for me when it comes to New Japan, it probably is Nishimura. But in terms, I've seen quite a few of his matches. So, I mean, I can kind of sum up his style of wrestling, and it's very much like if you've seen Zack Sabre Jr. and you've seen the best of like Suzuki, and you kind of married those two philosophies and styles of wrestling, which are kind of similar, but have their differing points. If you marry those, you wind up with Nishimura, a guy that like really took strong style very seriously, but like didn't get caught into the entire hoopla of like the storyline that like revolved around like Bob Sapp and Takayama and Nakamura and Suzuki and all that sort of thing. Just a guy who sort of plied his trade, showed up to work, beat the shit out of people and tied them up into pretzels. Like that's Nishimura. Very divisive. Some people don't love his work. Some people are maybe overrating to a certain extent of his style of work. There's quite a few matches. I think like the 2002 to like 04 G1s are some of the best work of his that I've seen in the company. There's a really good early Tanahashi match that I've seen where Tanahashi tries to bully Nishimura, and Nishimura is like not really dealing with the shit and just kind of rocks the shit in a way that like would really only happen in the dark ages of New Japan, where they were like actually hitting each other like full force. But yeah, I mean, could I say that this is a guy that I'm extensively educated on? Like, no, but definitely, passing away in your 50s, like that's way too early. I don't know how many people were aware of his illness, because I mean, he was just active last year. So it's not like, that this was something that was expected by the masses. I was caught off guard by it. And I think it's tragic. And, his influence that kind of permeated beyond just New Japan, but what he did in like the Muga, which turned into tradition and everything like that. Like he had his place on the Japanese indies and his influences as well. So best wishes to him and his family. I'm sure I didn't hear it yet, but I'm sure like Rich and Joe probably had a much more comprehensive and like in-depth sort of retrospective on his career, but it is very unfortunate.
Yeah, I think
Joe talked behind the paywall.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he was heavily involved in like early 95 ECW. So he did have sort of like now that I'm remembering, he did have like a kind of quasi excursion here in the US where I think he wrestled Al Snow in a pretty prominent early 95 match. Look at me.
Yep. You got this.
I haven't even heard that audio, but that's a match very much worth going out of your way to check out for sure.
All right, we got a few questions here, and then recommended match of the week, and we'll wrap up here. Let's question 7252 says, who will be next to sell their soul to Gato?
Me. If he ever comes calling me.
Yano. He's always selling something. May as well sell his soul.
I don't know if Gato's in the soul business. I feel like that's a Rock's deal.
Yeah, that's for Dwayne.
He also asks Bret Hart scale with Bolton Oleg.
Ooh. All right.
Wait, Bret Hart scale is what? Promos, look,
look, mic, work, and it factor.
Yeah, the untangible.
So look, I would say
9.
9. Yeah.
He's up there. I mean, he looks like a wrestler.
Yeah, 9. So look, Mike.
Oh, we lost Chris. I think if you put this man in the ring with fucking like Karl Gotch or like George Hackenschmidt in the early 1900s, it would fucking fit. If you put him in there with Luthez in the 1950s, it fucking worked. If you put him in there with Bret Hart in the 90s, this is a man that is timeless in terms of his look. We got a 9.
Yeah, strong 9 there.
With room to improve.
Yeah, he can get to a 10. All right, so look, Mike skills. I don't know. He's pretty fluent in Japanese.
He speaks Japanese. We're gonna go solid 6.
I'm gonna give him a 7.
It's a little. I haven't heard him say anything meaningful, but then again, I don't tune into all the backstage comments, anyways.
Yeah. So look, Mike, work.
I'm gonna go 7.5. Chris, we lost you.
No, what happened?
Ooh. I don't know.
I didn't accidentally hit the back button on my Chrome browser.
You're just,
this man said he's a Firefox dude, not a Chrome.
Firefox.
Yeah,
wow.
He loves Firefox.
Firefox. That's the most private browser, but no, I'm a Safari guy.
He likes Mozilla.
So Chris, you missed. So Josh gave Bolton 6 for the mic. I'd give him 7 just because he's fluent in Japanese.
I was gonna say I think he's got some pretty good mic. I would give him
before that. I give him a 9 on look.
He was here for that.
Well, I think he's
Chris wasn't here for that.
I saw the look.
Yeah.
No, I said he looks like a wrestler. I'd give he's up there. He's got a 9 on the look at least, maybe a 9.2.
Wow, he's going with quasi.
Yeah, just for if he brings back the singlet, we're at a 9.5.
9.18 repeating.
Yes. With the little gimmick on top of the 8.
Yeah.
Mike, I think, by all accounts, I always talk to Jay Michael about promos, and Jay Michael's very high on the Oleg promo cadence. So I'm going to give at least a 7.6.
All right, I'll go 6.5. You guys told me.
All right.
He speaks the language. It's amazing.
Yeah. Very fluent.
Well, I got Duolingo. I can speak the language within a year and a half as well.
How long's your streak?
I haven't
that's what I thought.
started yet. I'll get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, so his work.
The thing about him is that he's very comparable to Goldberg.
Yeah.
And the irony on the Bret Hart scale is that he would give Goldberg like a
4.
-6. But I think he's better than Goldberg. So, but he's probably closer to like a 6.
I'm going to go 7 just because we saw some really impressive things out of him in that match with Takeshita. And I don't think we've really scratched the surface on what he's capable of just yet.
Yeah, I'm going to go 7.
Me.
I'm going to go 7 also. I feel like, he's better than Goldberg, but we haven't fully seen what all he can do just yet. The Takeshita match was kind of our first stepping stone. So I think there's a lot there. So I'm going to go 7 there. And then It Factor.
I'm going to go 7.5 because I think that there is this thing where it's like something there. We don't know what it is. It's a little ill-defined, but it would be disrespectful for me to say, yeah, he's a 7. I think that there's definitely room to improve. Going to go 7.5, which brings me to a solid 30 in early 2025. And I bet you by 2026, we're looking at like a 34, maybe.
I think he's got good instincts, so I'm gonna give him an 8.
Oh, this man wants to outdo me every fucking time. Every fucking time.
I think I'm gonna go 7. I'm gonna split the difference. I'm going to 7.5.
That's not the difference. I went 7.5. He went 8. So you'd be like 7 3/4.
Oh, I thought you went 7.
I don't remember.
Either way, we're all about the same, like 30 and a half, 30, 31 out of 40. So pretty good.
Good trajectory too.
Yeah. Next question here, a fight question for Josh from Hawaiian Punch BV. Thoughts on the draw between Gervonta Davis, Lamont Roach? Do you think it's bad enough that his team was cherry picking a smaller opponent, but now everyone sees the ref and judges are operating with blatant favoritism? Do you also think that that's enough to finally drop him from P4P lists? Josh, are you there? Looks like he's frozen.
Dang. I can't help with this one.
Me either. All right, so gonna skip that one until Josh comes back. Dark Soldier says, screw wrestling. What are your favorite funny moments from The Office?
I've never watched The Office.
Really?
Yeah. It's like a weird blind spot for me.
Wow.
I mean, I understand
Yeah.
I know the characters and stuff, but I have not watched either version of The Office in any sort of entirety. So yeah, I'm a Scrubs guy.
Yeah, I didn't watch all The Office until I think it was the pandemic. I think I finally like binge watched every single episode in order, and yeah, also hilarious show. I mean, I know a lot of people think like season 1 is like super cringy, but I feel like, to me, I love season 1, and like that Diversity Day episode where Michael Scott's like making them all do like the card gimmick of what their race is. Like that one just gets me every time.
I like to keep a show like in my back pocket for like the next time I get the flu or something, you know? And the Office has been that. I am blessed with good health in recent years. So The Office has sort of been that like back pocket show that I'm sure I will like. And there's enough content. Like the last time I needed a show like that, I did Parks and Rec. And I just binged the hell out of that and enjoyed it. So I think, The Office I kind of keep in the back pocket as my like, when I need it, I'm gonna tap into it and it'll be good.
Yeah. He also asked, could you see Suji and Kid becoming the generational rivalry of this new crop of talent? Both feel the most main event ready and the most complete in terms of talent.
I said it I think it was in the Voices of Wrestling Slack. It was while they were wrestling during the New Beginning show. With whoever was watching it live. I said, give them the main event in the Tokyo Dome. And honestly, I mean that. I mean it. Give them the main event in 2026. Like, I think they're ready. And I think specifically that year, right, Tanahashi's retirement match will be on that card. Mm-hmm. So you can take a risk, even though it may not even be a risk by that point, right? Like, Kid is super over, and Suji he's the highest ranking of that group. And you may as well, same deal, you might as well run through the Reiwa guys and give them main events if you've got the chance to do it. So started with Umino, and now let's roll one out for Suji. And, somehow I think you got to get both those dudes into the top title picture, and very potentially it's very soon, because otherwise I don't know, again, we don't know how long we've got Gabe Kidd.
Yeah.
I think Gabe Kidd loves wrestling for New Japan, but I also know that sometimes things just don't make sense, right? So I think there's a chance that you've got to strike when that iron's hot and keep heating up Gabe Kidd. And I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance that they could do it this year, because again, you could take that risk with Tanahashi being the real draw on that show.
So what would be your path to get there? Obviously, one of them can win the G1. Yeah. But then how do you get the tie? Like, who would you have G1 and who would you have go in as champion?
Right. And that would assume that we're going back to the G1 winner challenging at the Dome.
Right, yeah.
Which we have sort of thrown a wrench into with the Zack Sabre Jr. thing. I think I would have Gabe win the G1.
Okay.
And somehow get Suji, into the title picture. I mean, like, I don't really know how you get there, right? Because you'd have to get the global off of him, and then have him challenge for the title. So luckily I'm not the booker, but I would have, I think if you give Gabe a G1 win, as sort of a conduit to be a representative of New Japan, right? Maybe the War Dogs thing sort of falls apart. I think that'd be a really interesting way to really elevate Gabe. And I don't think that role is as protected because, again, they could do the G1 challenge at Ryogoku again.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the Dome, and then you've got more paths to get there. Tsuji could just walk out the way Umino did in Osaka after Power Struggle and get, maybe not get booed. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting options there. I think Tsuji being the champion, kind of defending against Gabe, and I think a good way you could get there. I mean, there's a history between Finlay and Tsuji, until Finlay does beat Go for the title, I think there's time for Tsuji to beat Finlay, which there's a built-in rivalry, built-in history, and Tsuji is kind of the guy that's the foil for Finlay and keeps, Finlay's kind of the guy that gives Tsuji his big moments, and Tsuji beat him for the global, and now the thing where Tsuji beats him for the world title, and that kind of catapults Tsuji.
Right, and Tsuji could get Finlay during the G1, and they could actually do a title change on a post G1 challenge.
Yeah.
So there's ways to get wherever you want to go. I think you could put those dudes in a Tokyo Dome main event though, and it would be awesome.
Yeah,
because that match at New Beginning was incredible.
Yeah, amazing. All right, that's it for the questions. Our recommended match of the week was Takeshita versus Angel de Oro from CMLL. Chris, did you get a chance to watch this matchup?
I haven't watched it. I've got it queued up, but I have not had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, I watched it today. I thought it was pretty good. I do feel like there was a little bit of a styles clash between both guys, and I feel like it started out super slow, and Takeshita was just really kind of playing to the crowd. And then as you got towards the latter end, picked up, somehow Angel de Oro got busted open, and they started doing a little bit more bigger moves. But in the end, Takeshita hit him with the Raging Fire, got the win there. I think it was kind of weird that the Never title was on the line and not the international title in an international situation.
Right? Seems weird.
But I guess
also Takeshita was just winning anyway.
Right. I guess they were trying to protect the Kenny match in a way. I don't know. Also thought it was funny that Rocky was out there in his New Japan tracksuit supporting Takeshita, even though he's a face in AEW, and yeah.
That's messy. That's messy. Rocky, get it together. Kayfabe.
Yeah, but post-match, Angel de Oro did shake hands with Takeshita, said, next time you come to Mexico, this is your home. You're welcome here anytime. So yeah, it was a fun matchup, but I don't know if it'll end up cracking our Excursion Match of the Year list for our year-end awards. And then for this week, I say we watch Zack Sabre Jr. versus Fuego del Sol. I know it's a super random matchup, but I've actually heard a lot of good things about that matchup. And there was a card change there. Fuego filling in for whoever Zack was supposed to face. And yeah, Fuego's, I know he's small and people kind of just see him as a job guy, but he's a super talented guy. So curious to see what Zack did with him.
Nice.
All right, Chris, before we go, we'll get your plugs in one more time. Tell people where they can find you online and plug all your stuff.
Yeah, sportofprowrestling.com. Join the New Japan Cup Bracket Challenge, and you can find me on Twitter at the Chris Samsa. I will be posting tournament match stats and info as the New Japan Cup goes on, as well as interesting little pieces that come out of the bracket challenge. So catch me there, and catch me at sportofprowrestling.com.
Nice. And that's going to wrap it up for us. Next week, we'll be back to review the first few matches of the New Japan Cup and cover all this news. Remember, if you want to watch our show live, listen without ads, you can sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. You can also make a donation by visiting socialblex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media, on X and Blue Sky. Follow us at KI Strong Style, at Social Suplex, and at Jeremy L. Donovan on Facebook. Follow us at facebook.com/Social Suplex and the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. On Reddit, on the Pro Black Guy, y'all Keeping It Strong Style. On YouTube, we're at Social Suplex. You can join our Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. And check out all those shows that we have here on the network. One Nation Radio is by Rich and James. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. Imps WWE Adventure with Implications with Matthew Mayer. Wrestling Art with Chris Slings. Tunnel Talk with Ali and Aaliyah. And the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style. the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.